Pirate's Most Powerful Villain, Chapter 181-200. Chapter 0181 _ This distance makes sense. Should I follow? Looking at Qin Yang's figure disappearing into the ice and snow forest, Daros couldn't help but hesitate. It was just this hesitation that didn't last long. I have to keep up. If there is a fight, it will be bad if the guy is killed. This is a good opportunity to join the fantasy. With a flash of eyes, Daros immediately made a decision. He followed the direction of Qin Yang's going, crossed the demarcated boundary, and stepped into the ice and snow forest. Seeing that the two of them entered the territory of the Lance pirates one after another, the onlookers couldn't help but be a little stunned. These two, are they courting death? After Lance came to Cake Island, he immediately occupied this icy forest and did not allow anyone else to step in. I bet that two bodies would be thrown out within 5 minutes at most. Hey, there seems to be a good show to watch. A group of pirates are afraid that the world will not be in chaos, and they have no intention of leaving. Not to mention the situation outside, Qin Yang walked straight into the ice and snow forest, walked all the way, and soon came to the center. This place was affected by his battle with Big Mom at the beginning, and more than half of it was destroyed. The tall and strange trees have disappeared, and replaced by a bare and frozen land. Under the surface, you can even see the frozen corpses. Through the ice layer, you can barely see the appearance of the corpses. The faces of these people are full of horror, as if they are experiencing great terror. Captain, it has been 3 days, and we have used various methods, but we have not been able to melt these ice layers. This ice, rather than ice block, is more like a seal. Above the ice layer, a burly man with a huge hammer hummed. I smashed this 10-ton hammer for 3 days in a row, but I couldn't break it. It's incredible. Well, these people are members of the Big Mom pirate group, and they are not weak, but from their faces, you can see that it was a moment when the flood drowned them, and then at this moment, they were swept away in one breath. Freeze completely. The speaker, with medium-length blue hair, handsome in appearance, and a confident tone, it's hard to imagine who is the one who has frozen the entire Cake Island in one breath. What is the disaster mentioned in the intelligence? The most famous person who masters the power of freezing is Marine Admiral Kuzan. This kind of thing, if Kuzan uses his full strength, he can do it, but it can't be done in an instant. It is conceivable that if it is artificial, this person at least has the combat power of the Fourth Emperor. Who is it? The blue-haired captain murmured in a low voice. Suddenly, he frowned and looked sideways behind him. Someone came in and didn't listen to the warning. He used to squeeze the troublemaker directly with his bloody hands across a distance of thousands of meters. No one deterred this person. If he was not quite confident in himself, he would be a fool. Da da da. The sound of footsteps came, and Qin Yang walked through the forest into the frozen land in the center. Only then did Lance see clearly that the visitor was dressed in white, with short black hair, walking without a sound. Who are you ____? Hearing this, Qin Yang ignored him, but looked at the blue-haired young man. He raised his eyebrows and chuckled. Are you the captain of the Lance pirates? What's the matter with you? Lance's expression was calm, and he didn't show anger. He didn't seem to care about someone ignoring his warning. It's nothing, I just want to take a look. Qin Yang looked at the other group of people quietly. 12 people, one less. These 12 people are all powerful, full of chi and blood, and have a long breath. The big man with the giant hammer is even naked in this icy world, and the heat he emits is all within 10 meters. Cold air dissipates. This is not the ability of the devil fruit, but the strength of this person's physique. Just standing there, the heat that naturally spreads is enough to resist the cold. This kind of elite pirate group is a little more troublesome than the average pirate group. Qin Yang secretly evaluated the combat effectiveness of this group of people. If he wanted to do something, it would not be difficult to annihilate this pirate group. The problem is that this is only one of the 5 major forces. At that time, he will suppress 5 times the enemy in front of him. Even 10 times the enemy in front of you. While Qin Yang was contemplating, the big man with the hammer suddenly grinned and rushed over with a single stride. Where do you think this is? Just look if you want. Eat me a hammer. He is burly, with well-developed limbs, carrying a 10-ton giant hammer, and his explosive power in action can't help but surprise Qin Yang Vivi. Not bad, it seems that the evaluation is still low for you. You have at least 400 million combat power. He tisk commented that he didn't mean to dodge at all, and let the huge hammer hit him. Are you scared? The strong man was disdainful in his heart, and he didn't stop at all. The giant hammer smashed into Qin Yang's head, however, before reaching Qin Yang's body, a faint white light suddenly flashed. Holy light barrier. Boom. The giant hammer shook, the big man's face changed slightly, his hands were numb, and the hammer almost let go. If he reacts fast enough, the whole person will be shaken out by the reaction force. However, the teacher is like this, he still regrets 7 or 8 steps, and finally sits on the ice. What? The strong man was dumbfounded, completely unable to understand the scene in front of him. He smashed a hammer, and he was bounced off without hitting anyone. What? He got up annoyed, looking at Qing Yuan unhappily. Come back, barber. At this time, Lance stopped his subordinates and said in a deep voice, My friend, who are you? Pause, he added, if my eyes weren't dazzled, just now, you used a defensive ability, and this ability, 7 days ago, half the world's people saw it, that is holy light. Holy light. Around Lance, the 10 pirates all looked shocked, and then all stared at Qin Yang. What does the miracle that day have to do with you? Hearing this, Qin Yang couldn't help but chuckle, he stretched out his right hand, and the power of the holy light manifested in his palm. What do you think? I have to be surprised by your eyesight. It's just a moment, 0.3 seconds, you can see a trace. It is indeed a 1 billion pirate. Who the hell are you? Lance was on dark alert and full of hostility, and around him, a group of pirates also showed their weapons. Like an enemy. Don't be nervous, it's pointless to be so vigilant. Qin Yang shook his head. Seeing this, the big man carrying the reminder quickly got up, took a dozen steps back, and opened a safe distance. Qin Yang glanced at him and said in a low voice, I said it doesn't make sense. You think, this distance. Halfway through the words, Qin Yang suddenly moved. The strong man named Barber was stunned. The next moment, he felt that his right shoulder was being held down, and at the same time, the voice of that person sounded in his ear. Look, a mere tens of meters away is enough for me to kill you 10 times. Impossible. Barber was like a cat whose tail was stepped on. He rolled and crawled all of a sudden, leaving Qin Yang more than 10 meters away. He was deeply horrified and shocked. How is this possible? What speed is this? The explosive power of a moment, faster than my optic nerve, even faster than my observation hockey. Hard to imagine. Including Lance, all the pirates were sluggish. Chapter 0182-Fake 4 Emperors. The third update. These few days are really tormenting. Go to another house to pay New Year's greetings. Others eat. I code. I finish. My relatives have eaten everything. 2333. Barber was terrified, wondering if there was something wrong with his eyes. For a moment just now, he didn't relax at all, and his nerves were always tense, but he just didn't see it. The opponent's speed was too fast, and the explosive power in a moment was faster than his optic nerve, and even faster than his observation hockey. When he realized something was wrong, someone had appeared by his side and even patted him on the shoulder. If this guy attacked just now, I'm already dead. Thinking of this, Barber was suddenly dripping with cold sweat, and he felt like he had walked between life and death. Who are you? What do you want to do here? He tried to calm down, but his heart was still beating so fast that his tone inevitably revealed a hint of guilt. Hearing this, Qin Yang looked calm and chuckled. I said, you don't need to be so vigilant. If I want to kill you, your precautions are meaningless. It's not that he is too kind. He is not angry when the other party attacks him. but the time to close the net has not yet come. It doesn't matter if you kill an ordinary pirate, but there are only a few people in the Lance Pirates. If they kill them, they may be shocked. What do you want to do? After a moment of silence, Lance asked in the distance. In contrast, he was relatively calm. It's nothing, just curious, what are you doing here? Chinyang glanced at the smashed ice layer and said with a low smile, if you want to destroy this, it is more reliable to use high temperature to melt. In response, Lance narrowed his eyes and said, you seem to know this kind of ice. After a pause, he winked at his subordinates, since you're interested, I'll leave it to you. Let's go. After speaking, he took the first step, bypassed Chinyang's location, and evacuated with a group of subordinates. Barber stared at Chinyang in horror, and finally approached quickly, grabbed his hammer, and quickly followed. I don't want territory. Chinyang opened his mouth, and finally swallowed the words back, shaking his head speechlessly. This guy is so cautious. Speak softly, he won't take the risk of being an enemy to unknown enemies. Speak badly, he's very cowardly. He didn't care much about this, but he achieved his goal. In this group of 12 people, in addition to Captain Lance, who is a blood and blood fruit person, there are at least 3 ability people. Chinyang's eyes flashed, and he secretly said, there are 4 capable people, and they are not weak, no wonder they can become a big force. I don't know what the other pirate groups are. At the same time, the Lance pirates left the snow forest. Captain, are we just giving up? That's right, as long as Barber smashes it further, I should be able to break through the ice in the end with my ability. There are members of the Big Mom pirates, and there should be information about that on them. Several subordinates opened their mouths one after another, seeming to be very unhappy with the decision to evacuate. That guy's speed is really terrifying, the fastest I've ever seen, but with so many of us, winning him is definitely not a problem. Barber couldn't help but said. Hearing this, Lance shook his head and said, it's not that simple, that person it should be related to the miracle a week ago. Don't rashly become an enemy until you don't know the details of the other party. Speaking of this, he was silent for a moment before saying, secondly, those who were frozen are only elite pirates of the X-Mom pirate group, not combatants, let alone 4 generals, or desert ministers. About the red history text, intelligence, will not appear equals now on them. For 3 days, he searched the entire warring port and didn't see the 4 generals, let alone Charlotte Linlin. Therefore, he suspects that the big MMOM pirates have not been completely wiped out. Think about it too, how powerful the 4 Emperor-level pirate group is. Even if Big Mom dies, the remnants left behind are a powerful force. However, if you are still alive, why don't you show up? Now that Cake Island is divided, it's just stepping on the face of the 4 emperors. Even me, I can't stand it. Unless they dare not show up. Lance guessed in his heart, and felt that this guess was very reliable. This is the problem. The forces that made them dare not appear should be the people who destroyed them in the first place, and these people have not made any movement now, and seem to have nothing to do with the Big Mom waters. But now the Dark World has there is information about the great secret treasure. Thinking of this, Lance raised a sense of disobedience. I always feel that something is wrong here, as if there is a big hand secretly pushing everything. We are all treated as pawns. Pawn. Barber scratched his head and said with a grin, Captain, you think too much. Although you have a good mind, sometimes you just think too much. Now there can be more than 100 pirate groups on the island. Even if Whitebeard came, it would have to be weighed a few times. Quote. I hope so. Lance was noncommittal and sighed. Let's find the news of the red history text first. There is a location recorded on it, we can just get the rubbings. A group of people were speechless and walked out of the ice and snow forest. If Chinyang heard what this person said, he would definitely be surprised. Pirates are not all reckless. At least this Lance can infer some truth from the sense of disobedience. Although it is only a little bit, at least he has noticed it. So, behind the whole thing, there is a mysterious big hand. However, no matter how smart he was, he would never have imagined that Qin Yang wanted to circle up the rioting pirates, rush them to a place like poultry, and then suppress them together. This is just to save trouble. You must know that there are more than 100 pirate groups on the island, the 5 major forces, and even the 4th Emperor Whitebeard will feel extremely headaches. Outside the snowy forest, a large group of pirates waited. Why haven't we fought yet? Those 2 people have been in for 10 minutes. Is it already dead? It's impossible to live. It's definitely like the troublemaker just now, pinched to death by bloody hands. There is movement, someone is coming out. It's the Lance pirates. Seeing a group of 12 people, all the pirates looked dull. After waiting for a long time, instead of waiting for the body, Lance's people came out. And it seems quite dejected, and his face is not very good. Lance walked at the front, his eyes swept over the pirates, and he frowned. Why don't you leave? I hate being disturbed and making trouble. Speaking of this, he was startled for a moment, then remembered something, and said, forget it, this place doesn't belong to me anymore, you can do whatever you want. Great Pirate Lance! A man shouted. What about those people who went in just now? Did you kill them? Huh. Lance's eyes flashed, thinking of Qin Yang, and said, this place will belong to him in the future. If you want, you can grab it as you like. He wanted to give Qin Yang some trouble, but he obviously misestimated the courage of these pirates. Lance pirates voluntarily gave up their territory. Who are those 2 guys? I didn't hear the sound of the fight, do you know me? And Lance seems to be very afraid otherwise, how could he give up the ground? Hey, as expected, monsters are walking all over the place, and 2 people appear at random. Are they all hidden powerhouses? The group of pirates were so shocked that they did not enter the forest at all to find trouble with Qin Yang. This made Lance very depressed, and he was actually used as a stepping stone for the other party's reputation. Immediately scolded a group of idiots, took everyone away, and came out of sight. At the same time, Qin Yang was walking in the ice and snow forest. He had already figured out the general strength of the Lance pirates. Using this to calculate the remaining major forces, he could basically draw a remarkable result. In general, the repression is still feasible, it will just be a big fight. Sea Dragon's shot is only a last resort. If you use Sea Dragon in any situation, others will inevitably think that the Dream Pirates actually don't have as many members as imagined, and the mystery will be weakened, which is not very good. Therefore, Qin Yang is going to use the Holy Archangel to suppress the pirates. For this reason, 2 stars are obviously not enough, and he has to hurry up to hunt and kill those who have the ability to upgrade to 3 stars. 3-star Archangel is almost a 4-star Sea Dragon, and it is barely feasible to cope with this crackdown. Well, as he was walking, Qin Yang suddenly stopped and looked forward. In front of a frozen forest tree, the space suddenly flashed, and then 2 figures appeared out of thin air. The 2 Qin Yang knew each other, and one of them was Charlotte Cracker, one of his defeated generals and one of the 4 generals. The other person, with a fat body and bloodshot eyes, is the 4 Emperor's Big Mom. He the pirate in front. Charlotte Linlin laughed strangely as soon as she came out. It seems that you are impatient to live in the trouble on the old lady's island. She had a fierce look on her face. Qin Yang was stunned, then suddenly. Fake it, the breath is so weak. Even if my heart is pierced by me, even if I can survive, it is impossible to be like now, without trauma. If I remember correctly, the Big Mom pirates have a mirror fruit ability, who can change me like someone else. Thinking of this, Qin Yang's eyes flashed with a hint of play, and said, 4 Emperors Charlotte Linlin. Knowing my old lady's name, I dare to come to Cake Island to be wild. Charlotte Linlin snorted coldly and said, looking at your performance, I can give you a chance to live. Chapter 0183_Hapless Charlotte Duo. I wrote it on the spot. I will go to pay New Year's greetings early tomorrow morning, so I just stay up late to write it. For the sake of me being so disciplined, give it an automatic, you guys _orz. Looking at your performance, my mother can give you a chance to live. Charlotte Linlin snorted coldly and said. Her tone and demeanor all pretended to be vivid, but what she said was different. Qin Yang shook his head secretly. If it was really the four emperors, he would have to be stronger at this time, forcing people to breathe. He often plays fantasy roles, and he has a lot of experience with it. Oh, how? Seeing that he was not flustered, Charlotte Linlin frowned unconsciously, and immediately hummed. It seems that your bones are very hard, Cracker, let him be honest first. Understood. Beside her, Charlotte Cracker pulled out the long sword on her back and attacked Qin Yang violently. He walked fast, approached quickly, and slashed with a sword at the same time. Boy, uncle, I am happy today, I will only cut off one of your arms. As a senior cadre of Big Mom and one of the four generals, Charlotte Cracker's bounty is as high as 750 million. At this moment, the sword was slashed, and he did not leave his hand at all. Obviously, he wanted to give Qin Yang a slap in the face. It's a pity, I wanted to say something out of your mouth, but since I've already done it, I'm welcome. Qin Yang's body moved, and his speed suddenly exploded, and his whole body seemed to be a streamer, facing Charlotte Cracker. So fast. Charlotte Cracker's face changed slightly, and she suddenly felt that something was wrong. However, he lost Qin Yang's figure, and even observation hockey's capture was too late in an instant. You better take off the turtle shell. Suddenly, Qin Yang had already crossed Charlotte Cracker's long sword, approached the opponent directly, and then punched out abruptly. Light shining on it, and at the same time covering armament hockey, it was such a direct and straightforward punch, and it slammed into Charlotte Cracker's chest. Boom. What? Charlotte Cracker was so shocked that she didn't have time to dodge. He made a move first, but the opponent attacked him first. This gap in speed and sensitivity, dodging is a joke. A punch landed on his chest, and a powerful blow instantly shattered his biscuit armor. The strength even penetrated the outer armor and directly hit the inner body. Whoosh! Among the piles of debris, Charlotte Cracker's figure flew upside down and slammed into a big frozen tree. And GT. With a bang, he first suffered a trauma to his chest, and then suffered a heavy blow to his back, and immediately vomited blood, his expression extremely ugly. Why, that's right, hiding in the armor, is it for fear of getting hurt? Qin Yang slowly closed his fists and looked calmly. Charlotte Linlin on the side was stunned. Charlotte Cracker, one of the four generals, was shattered when she saw him face to face. At that moment, she couldn't see how her opponent was moving, it was too fast. Who are you? Charlotte Linlin stared at Qin Yang with an ugly expression. At the same time, she couldn't help but feel a little regretful, knowing that this person was so strong, she should have picked a softer persimmon. You don't have to know that, Charlotte Bray. Qin Yang directly pointed out the identity of the other party. With your acting skills, you will deceive people who have never seen Big Mom. Who the hell are you? Charlotte Linlin. No, Charlotte Bray looked shocked, completely forgetting to maintain the majesty of the four emperors. Using this method, she deceived many pirates, and made these pirates form an alliance to become the fifth largest force on the main island. She was going to use them to fight against the rest of the pirates, so that the Cake Island would not be occupied. And this time Qin Yang was selected as the target. There is no other reason, it is just a face, not a well-known big pirate, it is easy to start. Asshole. At this moment, Charlotte Cracker stood up, wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth, and stared at Qin Yang with fiery eyes. The armor really gets in the way. If it wasn't for the armor that limited my reaction, you couldn't hit me at all just now. I'm so hot right now, Bree, I don't want this guy anymore, I'm going to kill him. Finish it. Charlotte Bree looked solemn. After a while, she nodded. First catch him, force him to find out who he is, and how to see through my transformation, and then you can deal with it. Good. Charlotte Cracker nodded decisively without hesitation. Hearing this, Qin Yang laughed. Be brave because of ignorance, but don't know what to do because of arrogance. Charlotte Cracker, do you think the punch just now was just a random punch? What? Charlotte Cracker frowned, and the next moment, his face turned pale, and he staggered suddenly, using his long sword to stand on the ground, supporting his swaying body. Covering his mouth with one hand, he suddenly gasped and vomited blood again and again. Cracker. Charlotte Bree was shocked, just punched, and she was injured so badly. Plus, there's biscuit armor on the outside to cancel out most of the power. What have you done to my body? Charlotte Cracker kept panting, feeling her whole body spinning around, her internal organs tumbling. Seeing this, Chin Yong said softly, "It's not a big deal, it's just that you used a little special power. You, unprepared, are now injured, internal injuries, and internal bleeding." The power of the holy light was compressed into one punch, only to make the opponent spit blood. Chin Yong already felt that Charlotte Cracker's physique was quite strong. He only shot the other side with a fist on his face, and he had no intention of calculating, and the effect was naturally outstanding. If it is a serious fight, it is impossible to say, there will be a big disturbance. It's bad luck for you to meet me. Chin Yong flipped his right hand, and immediately, the power of the holy light turned into a long sword and held it in his hand. Just right, I have something to ask you too. Don't worry, I will be merciful, and be careful not to let you die. Seeing that Chin Yong made another move, Charlotte Bully was shocked and filled with grief and indignation. This is really bad luck. Now that there are so many pirates on the island, if you choose anyone who is relatively raw, you can encounter such unknown powerhouses with hidden strength. Cracker, let's withdraw. Charlotte Bray gritted her teeth and said, "You're seriously injured, I'm afraid you're not an opponent. However, don't wait for them to make a move." Suddenly, with Chin Yong as the center, the power of holy light spread out, and in the blink of an eye, a hazy hood enveloped a radius of 100 meters. Charlotte Bray had just turned around when she bumped into the hood. "You can't run away." Chin Yong held the sword of holy light and slowly approached, the enchantment of holy light. Under the shroud of the enchantment, the outside cannot see the inside, can't get in, can't get out, and can't get the sound out. Seeing this, Charlotte Bray's heart sank, feeling that things were in trouble. "Damn it, who the hell are you?" she growled angrily. Chapter 0184-Devil Fruit from the Deep Sea. Second update. Many people think that Marine is weak. Marine is not weak. It is stronger than the 4 Emperor pirates. The elite Marines of the headquarters alone have more than 100,000 Marines. There are at least 5 or 6 people in Admiral class, like Sengoku Garp. This is much stronger than the Admiral class. Also, don't take the pirates as a whole, the Marine as a whole, the pirates are not. Aside from the 4 Emperor pirates, there is no other pirate group in the world that can outperform Marine. Because the book review is limited and cannot be restored, I will explain it here. Sorry for wasting a little space. Hollow square. Close black lens bracket. The holy light barrier is hazy, like a giant egg, with Chin Yong as the center, covering a radius of 100 meters. In the enchantment, Charlotte Bray's heart sank, and she suddenly felt that things were in trouble. The mysterious guy in front of him not only saw through her tricks, but also wanted to arrest them, which was simply daring. Of the pirates that I picked in the past were frightened when they saw Charlotte Linlin. They were a little intimidated and promised a little benefit, and they were immediately ecstatic. Will become honest. As a result, they secretly absorbed more than a dozen pirate groups, plus the few they once belonged to, forming a big force on the island. I just didn't expect that the boat would capsize in the gutter today. Damn it, who the hell are you? Charlotte Bray growled in exasperation. At the same time, she quickly thought about how to get out of the predicament. Because of the fear of Emperor Chin of the Dream Pirates, the Dream World is now often closed. If you want to escape into the Dream World, you can only do so at a specific time. I can only enter the Mirror World, she thought to herself, and gave Charlotte Cracker a wink. And at this moment, Chin Yong moved. He suddenly disappeared in place, and in the next instant, he appeared in front of Charlotte Bray. I know your ability, the mirror fruit can open the mirror world, you want to escape. You can't escape. In the whisper, Qin Yang stabbed with a sword. Immediately, the holy light shone brightly. Charlotte Bray's pupils shrank. Her heart was horrified. It was this speed, the extraordinary explosive force, faster than the human optic nerve, faster than the capture of observation hockey, almost in 0.2 seconds, across dozens of meter distance, close in an instant. In a critical moment, her reaction was also very quick, almost instinctive. Her right hand was opened, and the ripples on it turned into a mirror, blocking the front of the sword of holy light. Reflection. The holy sword did not penetrate into the mirror, but in the next moment, a similar long sword appeared in the territory, stabbing straight at Qin Yang's chest. My mirror ability can reflect all attacks. Charlotte Bray looked terrified and shouted fiercely, taste your own attack, go to hell. The sword of holy light stabbed out, but before it touched Qin Yang's chest, it suddenly collapsed. With a puff, the holy sword shot in the territory shattered into a piece of white light and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What? Charlotte Bray looked shocked. Why? Do you think I don't know your ability? Holy light is not such a stable power, otherwise, I wouldn't have to spend time condensing it. Qin Yang looked calm and was not surprised by this scene at all. He stretched out his left hand and pressed it directly in front of Charlotte Bray's face. The next moment, a whisper sounded. Holy judgment. The white light in the palm of the hand was extremely sacred, and the holy power simply condensed, and then a torrent directly hit Charlotte Bray's head. Boom. Suddenly, the entire enchantment space turned into a vast expanse of white. Charlotte Bray's body froze. In the holiness, she seemed to hear the voice of God, and all the beauty of the world was presented in front of her eyes. It seemed like a kingdom of heaven, a kingdom of God, a paradise. As long as she took a step, she could into it. Behind them is the boundless hell, Charlotte Linlin, the Big Mom pirates, and the Charlotte family. They suffer in hell and perish forever. Forward, or backward? Charlotte Bray fell into hesitation, and this hesitation made her completely confused, as if she was not possessed. After a long time, the holy light dissipated. I saw Charlotte Bray standing there dumbfounded. She had no obvious wounds, but her eyes were blank, as if she was stupid, and she just stood there blankly. What did you do to her? Charlotte Cracker waited until her eyes, then looked at Qin Yang angrily. Nothing, just give her a choice. Qin Yang slowly lowered his left hand and said, one step forward and faith in the holy light can save you from death. One step back can only lead to complete destruction. She hesitated for a moment. It seems that she is not absolutely loyal to Charlotte Linlin either. Her head has been beaten to ashes in an instant. No matter which one the other party chooses, Qin Yang will not let it go. The reason for this is just to see the loyalty of Charlotte family members to Big Mom. Hearing this, Charlotte Cracker suddenly became very gloomy. He couldn't understand what it meant. The miracle of the holy light that enveloped the world a week ago, they hid in the dream world and didn't see it at all. However, I can't understand, but I can understand that Charlotte Bray's situation is terrible. You are courting death. He shouted angrily, and regardless of the internal injury, he forcibly charged with his sword. Qin Yang calmly shook his head and said, sure enough, he is a reckless man. In comparison, the former Lance is much smarter than you. At night, Cake Island is a deserted port. Qin Yang held the rope, dragged the two of them, and walked slowly to the shore. The two who were bound by the rope were Charlotte Cracker and Charlotte Bray. Compared to Bray, who was not injured but fell into a sluggish situation, Cracker was much more miserable. He was covered in injuries, and even walking would affect the wound. After capturing the two, Qin Yang asked for some information. Cracker is very tough and refuses to say anything, but Bray has become half a fool. Qin Yang will answer whatever Qin Yang asks, so he already knows everything. Big Mom is still alive, just in a state of half dead. The remnants of the pirates are hiding in the dream world to prevent Emperor Qin from suddenly coming in. The dream world has been closed all the time, and it will only be opened at 12 o'clock in the evening, and the time will only last for 5 minutes. The fifth largest force on the island was Bray, who pretended to be Charlotte Linlin, and used the prestige of the 4 emperors to forcibly form it. The only people who knew it were some captains of this alliance. The alliance is to fight against the rest of the pirates, in case Cake Island is completely occupied, and at the same time to inquire about the situation of Fantasy 950. 5 minutes. It only opens at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, so be cautious. Whispering in a low voice, Qin Yang dragged the 2 to the shore, and then whistled. Not long after, a dark shadow appeared under the sea, and then the lantern Ankang surfaced. Spit it out. Hearing the order, the lantern popped out of his body, protruding from a wooden box. Qin Yang opened the box, and it was full of fruits, all kinds and everything. What do you want? Charlotte Cracker said weakly. What are you doing? Qin Yang said with a chuckle. Of course it is to rob you of your ability. Do you think I will let you go? By killing the capable person, the demon will have a chance to choose the nearest fruit for lodging. Charlotte Cracker also knew about this rumor, and her face changed slightly. You bastard, you know that we are the 4 emperors' Big Mom pirates, and you dare to kill. Are you not afraid of revenge? Ha ha ha, who do you think killed you? Qin Yang ha ha isho, he doesn't care at all. And hearing this, Charlotte Cracker was shocked, her eyes widened, and she looked in disbelief. After a while, he opened his mouth and said bitterly, I should have guessed it long ago, dream. He was furious. Qin Yang ignored it, but looked into the box, and after a look, he couldn't help but be startled. Hey, there is actually a devil fruit mixed in it. Qin Yang Vivi was surprised, and then looked at Lantern Ankang. One person and one fish communicated in a special way, and Qin Yang immediately understood the situation. This fruit was salvaged by the Sea Beast Legion in love. Chapter 0185 _ The Sky Dominates. The third update _ oh yes, let me explain. The picture of the Archangel is just borrowed from the character image and has nothing to do with that game. Oh, Hollow Square. Oh. This fruit was salvaged from the deep sea by the Sea Beast Legion. Qin Yang looked at Lantern Ankang in surprise. As early as a few months ago, he had ordered the Sea Beast army to go to the deep sea to find the devil fruit, but there was no news until now. Hearing his question, Lantern Ankang nodded his huge head and indicated the situation in the box. Qin Yang took a closer look and searched carefully. Sure enough, he found another devil fruit. 2 pieces. Qin Yang looked surprised and praised quite unexpectedly. You have done a good job. After that, you will be rewarded. The Sea Beast Legion will continue to search for the secret treasures of the deep sea, and there will be more than this number. At present, the Sea Beast army has expanded to more than 1,000. In fact, the number is more than this, but at least half of them died in the deep sea. After all, it is mass-produced cannon fodder, and there is still a gap between it and the giant sea kings in the deep sea. Okay, a little interlude. Next, it's your turn. Qin Yang put the 2 fruits aside, and then looked at Charlotte Cracker slowly. Tell me, how do you want to die? HMPH, do you think I'll beg for mercy? Charlotte Cracker snorted coldly. Although her body was full of trauma, she still showed no trace of fear. I only blame myself for my lack of ability to kill a dream member. Is this the last word? Qin Yang nodded, not angry, but chuckled. Since you are very brave, then I will give you a treat. As soon as the voice fell, Qin Yang pointed out, and suddenly, a holy light emanated from the fingertips, and suddenly penetrated Charlotte Cracker's chest, destroying the opponent's heart. With a grunt, blood spilled from the corner of Charlotte Cracker's mouth. Even if his heart was damaged, he didn't die immediately, but instead grinned, revealing a row of blood-stained teeth. Ha ha ha, dream. My vivre card is in Ligiette's hands. I'm about to die. My vivre card will burn out. Ligiette will know the danger. She will never open the dream world. You dream, never try to destroy us. Before he made it temporarily, He laughed wildly, and the more he laughed, the more blood he vomited. Huh, Qin Yang raised his eyebrows and said suddenly, "No wonder you are so eager to die. It turned out that you planned to use your own death to warn people in the dream world that you are a man." He said with admiration, "But, do you think I can't save you now?" As he said that, Qin Yang turned his hands, and the gentle power of holy light suddenly poured out, directly descending on Charlotte Cracker, slowly healing his wounds. Holy light healing. What? Feeling the recovery of physical strength, Charlotte Cracker completely fell into sluggishness, her heart was pierced, and she could be saved. Is this guy human? His consciousness gradually became clear, and the state of dying was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Monster! Charlotte Cracker was horrified. "No, let me die!" He roared, and suddenly, 2 biscuit soldiers appeared out of thin air around him. He used the holy light to heal the recovered physical strength, and directly summoned the soldiers to attack and kill himself. The condensed 2 soldiers, one stabbed him in the chest, the other swung down the long sword and chopped at the head. Rao is that Qin Yang's reaction was fast enough, and he only had time to repel one of them. In the blink of an eye, the biscuit soldier's long sword completely pierced Charlotte Cracker. Puff! The long sword pierced from the back and pierced from the chest. Charlotte Cracker coughed and laughed. "I won." He only had time to say half a sentence, then closed his eyes, lowered his head, and died completely. Qin Yang was stunned, and was speechless for a while. "You won." After a while, he shook his head and said, "Is this the family?" In order to protect the immortality of the family, as a member of the family and one of the 4 generals, Charlotte Cracker committed suicide. Qin Yang's first impression of this guy was not very good, but his last impression was quite good. Of course, Qin Yang just sighed, but it didn't affect his mood. Since he came to the world of pirates, he has never experienced any strong winds or waves. How could a trivial matter shake him? When he dies, those with the ability to dream fruit will perceive the danger. It seems that entering the dream world at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night is not enough. Anyway, now Big Mom is half dead, and the Charlotte family is also shrinking, unable to turn the tide. Put it aside for the time being, and give priority to suppressing the pirates. It's your turn. Speaking softly, Qin Yang looked at the stupid Charlotte Brie. She was fooled by the divine ruling. If she left it alone, she might be able to wake up in 10 days and a half months. However, since Charlotte Cracker has been killed, this old witch will cook together by the way. Immediately, a holy light flashed, instantly breaking the opponent's heart. Charlotte Brie was stunned, blood dripped from the corners of her mouth, and her eyes returned to life, but for a short time, she died. After killing 2 remnants of the Big Mom pirate group, Qin Yang quietly waited for the fruit in the box to change. After waiting for half an hour, a fruit finally appeared. Is that paramesha fruit, specifically a biscuit, or a mirror? I don't know. If it is a mirror fruit, it is a very powerful fruit. It's just that Charlotte Brie is too stupid to use this fruit. This fruit is very strong. Rebounding this move, even his holy light can be reflected. It can be seen that it is powerful, even if Whitebeard's vibration can be rebounded. In addition, there is copy, which can copy all the information of the opponent, including the ability of the devil fruit. Of course, it is not an absolute copy of the appearance, but a mirror state like looking in a mirror, that is, flipping left and right. At that time, Charlotte Brie became Charlotte Linlin. In fact, she had the ability of soul and soul fruit, but she was attacked by Qin Yang's words. Instead, she released her transformation state and responded with the most familiar mirror ability, but she was restrained instead. Finally, the mirror fruit also has the ability to detect, and the mirror world. It can be said that this is a fruit with quite strange and peculiar abilities, but the user's own strength is too weak. If it's a biscuit, use it as a star-raising material, and if it's a mirror, keep it first. Thinking of this, Qin Yang continued to wait. After another hour, there was no second fruit in the box. At this point, Qin Yang gave up. It is completely uncertain what exactly is influencing this change. There are 3 fruits now. Huan, how much does it take to upgrade the 2-star Archangel to 3 stars? 8 pieces. Hearing the answer, Qin couldn't say it immediately. This is only 2 liters of 3, so he needs 8 coins, which is not much worse than the 9 coins of Heilong 2 liters of 4. Looks like it's time to start hunting the capable ones earlier. The next day, in the waters near Cake Island. Above the sea, an ordinary merchant ship sailed slowly. In a room of the merchant ship, Qin sat on the sofa and looked at Doflamingo across from him. For which one are you dreaming? Doflamingo said with a low smile. Emperor Qin asked me to wait here. I thought it was Heilong who shot. Hearing this, Qin was unsmiling and calmly revealed his identity. I am one of the 3 cadres of the dream, the ruler of the sky and Archangel. As soon as the voice fell, Qin whole person suddenly exuded a sacred radiance, which was extremely holy. Doflamingo's expression changed, and his heart was horrified. Another dream leader. And it is still the master, the same level as the sea dragon. He was shaken in his heart. Shouldn't this be another 4 emperor-level cadre? Chapter 0186_Caged Bird. The first update. There are not many authors who have been stable in the new year and 3 updates, please cherish it. 233. Archangel. Doflamingo was in shock, suddenly remembered something, and lost his voice. 8 days ago, the miracle that swept half the world, is it you? 8 days ago, the cloud of holy light shrouded half of the planet. At that time, an incomparably gigantic angelic shadow appeared for a while. Thinking of the mystery of dreams, Brother Duoflan immediately felt that this matter had something to do with dreams. Qin did not deny this, but he was not interested in entangled in this kind of thing, and said bluntly, I asked you to come, to prepare to start the capable person hunting plan. Huh? Doflamingo was stunned and asked, isn't it suppressing? Hunting and killing those who are capable, you want to plunder each other's abilities. That's right. Qin nodded, I need you to use a bird cage to block off the entire Cake Island. The specific plan is this. Then, Qin briefly talked about the action plan. First of all, the birdcage blocks the entire Cake Island. At this time, the trapped pirate groups will be in chaos, and they are originally hostile to each other. At this time, riots will definitely occur. Secondly, get a fake, red stone, that is, the red historical text. There are 4 pieces of this kind of thing, and each piece has a coordinate recorded on it. Collect all 4 coordinates, mark them on the map, and after connecting the lines, its central location is the endpoint of the legendary Great Route 570 Rahudal, a legendary place that only One Piece King of Pirates Roger has reached. All the pirates on the island came for this thing, and once it appeared, it would definitely cause frantic competition. Anyway, let them fight first. Let's take advantage of the chaos to hunt down some abilities. When it's almost there, I will personally take action to suppress it. After Qin finished speaking, he saw Doflamingo being surprised. What's the problem? How do you know, birdcage? Doflamingo said incredulously. I developed this trick, but I haven't used it yet. No, I only used it once, and there was absolutely no living mouth at that time. Don't use your wisdom to speculate on me. Qin said calmly. If there is no problem, just follow this plan. No, there are problems. 3 problems. Doflamingo had a headache, feeling that he had no secrets in front of them. Putting that aside, though, he disputed the plan. Say. The first question is that the birdcage cannot cover the entire Cake Island, at most a city. If you give me a year to practice, I may be able to upgrade to the blockade of the whole island as you said. Is that so? It's really useless. Qin frowned slightly, thinking about how to revise the plan. Hearing this, Doflamingo was so angry that he vomited blood. His move can block a city, almost a fifth of a Cake Island, which is already very strong. Since this is the case, then think of a way to get the pirates to gather. Qin said, using the red stone, I will let the Lich King come out, freeze the red stone, and put it in a place for the pirates. We found that in the end attracts everyone to come. This is feasible, although there will be fish that slip through the net, but most of them should come to compete. 4. Doflamingo nodded, agreeing with this approach. What about the second question? Second, the birdcage is formed of countless silk threads. The arc-shaped huge birdcage has gaps. Children can be careful and can pass through. Secondly, those with the ability of Logia can easily escape. Thirdly, some parameshes with the ability to deform, can also be disengaged. Quote. Hearing this, Qinyang was speechless and couldn't help but glance at him with contempt. This kind of flawed move, he can happily use it as a big move. In response, Doflamingo twitched his eyelids and said with a dry smile, actually, you can let the Lich King cover the bird cage with a layer of ice, so that you can barely block everyone inside, whether it's Logia or not. Then why do you want your birdcage? Qinyang stared at each other and had to say, it doesn't matter, just block most of the people, and the rest will take care of them later. Well, that third question is also the deadliest. Doflamingo took a deep breath, a little scared, for fear of angering the other party. Don't talk nonsense, speak quickly. The maintenance time of the bird cage is only 1 hour, and then it will gradually shrink towards the center, and the people inside will be slowly cut to death, about half a day before and after. Half a day, Qinyang considered for a moment, then said, enough. Enough. Doflamingo was stunned. There are at least 20,000 pirates on the island, and even 20,000 pigs may not be killed in half a day. However, he did not object. Qinyang said enough, that would be the best. In this case, we will start tomorrow morning. Qinyang said softly. At night, let's prepare first, so that some lucky pirate can discover the existence of the red stone. I don't need a lucky pirate, I can arrange for someone. Doflamingo finally regained a little confidence and said with a smile, actually, I have undercover agents in several pirate groups. Hearing this, Qinyang's eyes lit up and praised, it's still a little useful, otherwise we have to think about whether we should work with someone else. Doflamingo's smile froze, and his heart was helpless. It was really unpleasant to cooperate with this group of monsters. However, the harvest was still great. This time, he earned nearly 5 billion by selling fake information. Then let's get started. That night, late at night. The central location of Cake Island, where the unicorn pirates entrenched. Iceberg, which was originally solid, had an opening under the mountain. After entering through this opening, it would reach an empty cave. Inside the cave, a red historical text was frozen. Lich King slowly retracted his palm, looked sideways at Qinyang, and said, that's it, unless a 4 Emperor level master breaks it with brute force, ordinary people can't move it. Well, Qinyang nodded. Archangel, I'll leave it to you here. I have other tasks. The Lich King left a sentence, and then it turned into a ray of crystal-colored light and disappeared, and finally disappeared into Qinyang's body. Doflamingo on the side couldn't help sighing, your summoning ability is really convenient. Do you have a space system ability inside you? Any dream member has the ability to summon the rest of the cadres from a distance. Of course, Doflamingo knows this information. He also knew the Lich King, and had previously attacked the deep-sea prison together. Therefore, he couldn't imagine that the two were actually singing double reeds, and they were the same person at all. Qinyang said calmly, don't inquire about dreams information. If you commit a taboo, someone will come to kill you. Let's go, arrange your undercover agent and start spreading it tomorrow morning. No problem. Doflamingo followed Qinyang and slowly left the cave. Actually, Archangel, I want to ask, how can I join your dream? What are the conditions? He really wanted to join. This organization was too terrifying. The experts in it were like clouds, and anyone who came out was strong enough to suppress a sea area. Join them for unimaginable benefits. Stop dreaming, dream members, each one is unique and unique. What's your specialty? A birdcage full of holes. Hearing this, Doflamingo is speechless. His ultimate move is really not weak. Nay, he was ridiculed without temper. The next day, early in the morning, in several pirate groups, a crew member discovered the existence of the red stone. And this information was leaked out inadvertently, and at the speed of a storm, it spread to the 5 major forces in an instant. Suddenly, countless pirates rioted in the entire Cake Island. Peaceful, for a week have finally begun to show their fangs to each other. At the same time, hundreds of meters above Cake Island, Doflamingo and Chin Young stood in the air, quietly watching the riots on the island. It's on the birds in the cage. Chapter 0187 The Three Masters of Fantasy. It's on the birds in the cage. Looking at the riotous Cake Island below, Chin Young spoke softly. Ling Kong stood at an altitude of several hundred meters, looking down at the pirates on the island, just like watching ants. Groups of hard-working ants are flocking to the center of Cake Island, the stronghold of the unicorn pirates. Doflamingo let out a low laugh. For the plan was successful. Even if the appearance of the red stone is fake, these pirates will definitely confirm it. People die for wealth, birds die for food. Chin Young shook his head, took out a phone bug from his snow-white coat. You get ready, open the bird cage at any time. While talking, Chin Young dialed the number. Is there any help? Seeing this, Doflamingo's eyes flashed with doubts. Who? Marine. New World, Magma Island. This is a dead island. The island itself is an active volcano. There used to be a town at the foot of the mountain, but an eruption of the big volcano devoured the town. Later, Marine suppressed this sea area and built a marine base here. At this moment, in the center of the Magma Island, the mouth of an active volcano, Admiral Akainu is immersed in magma. His lower body sank under the crimson magma, while his upper body remained humanoid. Akainu's eyes are closed, and between his breaths, he is close to the elements of nature. Only those with Logia ability can control the natural elements. As a superior fruit of the flame class, this is Akainu's unique cultivation method, immersing himself in the magma, allowing him to better control his own abilities. Half a year ago, at Sabayati Archipelago, he was wounded by the dreamy Ibaraki with black flames, and since then he has felt his own inadequacy. Half a year of crazy training has given him a boost in strength. It's not enough. This kind of strength can't deal with the fantastic members. Those people have strange abilities: Shadow Demon, Ibaraki, Nine-Tailed Demon Fox, Lich King, Night King, Sea Dragon, Uchiha Itachi Chin Emperor. Akainu sighed inwardly. In order to implement his own justice, fantasy is one of the biggest enemies. Just as he was thinking, a subordinate's voice suddenly came from above the crater. Akainu Admiral, the dreamer contacted. They said that the time to close the net has come. Let us cooperate and enter the waters of Cake Island. Huh. This, Akainu frowned slightly. Doflamingo was selling false information in the New World. Marine also knew about this, and also knew that it was a trap set up by Doflamingo and Dream together. This time, there are more than 100 New World pirates gathered on Cake Island. If you want to suppress it, you will inevitably dispatch cadres, and there are more than 1 or 2. You can take this opportunity to carefully observe the abilities of these people, and then analyze them. Weaknesses: let the scientific troops develop targeted weapons. Quote. This, Akainu waved his hand, and suddenly, the magma rolled, and the crimson magma, like a big hand, supported him and sent him to the mountain pass. One step down to earth, Akainu immediately dissipated the power of magma fruit. The subordinates on the side handed over Marine's justice coat, put it on Akainu, and asked, Akainu Admiral, do we want to cooperate? Get ready to go. Akainu spoke in a deep voice, walking towards the port first. How much combat power did they deploy? How many cadres? Will the Captain Chin Emperor take action? Emperor Chin is the key. Currently, Marine still doesn't know the specific abilities of Emperor Chin. The only thing he knows is that he took action and destroyed the Big Mom pirate group. Akainu didn't want Emperor Qin to take action to suppress the pirates, but just wanted to use this opportunity to find out the opponent's abilities. But hearing this, the subordinate hesitated a bit. "What's the problem?" Akainu hummed. "Know that, Dream only dispatched one cadre," the subordinate said with a wry smile. "A sea dragon." Akainu frowned. There is no doubt that the sea dragon has the combat power of the four emperors. However, even a sea dragon would be dwarfed by the New World pirates that number more than 100. The four emperors are indeed powerful, but that means they are almost invincible in a duel. Just like Kaido, no one can kill him, but facing Marine's 3 Admiral, plus Garp and Sengoku, they can only be defeated with hatred and even be defeated. Catch alive. However, the subordinate's answer made Akainu's complexion change drastically. "It's not a sea dragon. That person claimed to be one of the 3 cadres in the dream, the Master of the Sky." The subordinate took a deep breath and whispered, "Archangel." "Archangel." Akainu's eyes widened, and for the first time, he thought of the cloud of holy light that enveloped half the world some time ago. It turned out to be them. Akainu was shocked. The 3 cadres, the Ocean Master, Sea Dragon, the Sky Master, Archangel, is it another 4 Emperor-level cadre? Thinking about it carefully, since they are called the 3 major cadres, they are obviously more senior than ordinary cadres. This Archangel is very likely to be of the same level as Heilong. Not only that, but based on this calculation, I am afraid there is also a Master of the Earth. It is unimaginable that in a mere pirate group, the 3 major cadres are the 4 emperors, and the vice-captain has surpassed Akainu's common sense. At this moment, Akainu couldn't help but tremble a little. If everything was right, the overall strength of Dream might even exceed the sum of all the troops of Marine headquarters. You must know that in the current New World, there is no pirate group that can surpass Marine, not even the Whitebeard pirate group. This is the worst news I've heard since Roger died. Akainu gritted his teeth, but his pace quickened. Notify Kuzan and Kizaru, and by the way, tell Marshal Sengoku this news. And more seniors. The higher level is naturally the commander-in-chief of the world government, Kong Kong. Yes. Not to mention Marine's actions. Cake Island, after Qin Yang notified him, he hung up the phone directly. He didn't expect Marine to do anything. The reason why he contacted the other party was just to let them block the sea area. When a fight broke out, there would definitely be pirates fleeing, so Marine would just be outside to hunt down the pirates who had absconded. Of course, he was only hired to suppress the rioting pirates this time. Furfur, I didn't expect you to join forces with Marine. Doflamingo on the side laughed strangely. I'm afraid they paid a lot of money. Don't think about it, it must be a devil fruit, but I don't know how many I will take out. Qin Yang glanced at him and said calmly, don't talk nonsense, are you ready? I was ready when you contacted. Do you want to do it? Go. As soon as Qin Yang's voice fell, Doflamingo immediately acted. His right palm turned into a claw and suddenly slapped directly above the center of the Cake Island. Bird cage. In the soft drink, a thick silk thread suddenly shot out and flew to the target position in an instant. In the next moment, this ball of silk thread visible to the naked eye suddenly burst open. Immediately, strands of threads that were extremely hard enough to cut steel, like a meteor shower, shrouded in all directions in the form of a goddess scattered flowers. At this moment, all the pirates on the island were shocked. From their perspective, above the sky, a cage is slowly opening, and its coverage is large enough to contain more than 90% of the pirates in one go. Oops! In the center of the island, in front of Iceberg where the red stone was buried, the captain of the Lance Pirates looked dignified. My hunch came true, and there is indeed a mastermind behind the scenes. Chapter 0188-Hunter. The third update. I was forced to drink some wine for dinner, and I almost forgot the update at night. Hollow Square. Oops. My hunch came true, and there is indeed a mastermind behind the scenes. Iceberg, where the red stone was buried, one of the 5 major forces, the captain of the Lance pirates murmured solemnly. He looked at a birdcage above the sky with its fangs open, and his heart sank slowly. What is that? Barber looked stunned. The birdcage that appeared in the sky shrouded their heads, giving people a strong sense of ominousness. Damn it! Who is it? A member of the Lance pirates said angrily. This is to trap everyone. What do you want to do? What should we do, Captain? Someone else said hurriedly. If you just want to trap us, it's easier, if it's not so simple. Hearing this, Lance's face was gloomy and uncertain, and it took a long time to say, the purpose of the people behind the scenes is unknown, but it can be guessed. Trap us, create riots, let us fight each other, and then show up at the right time to clean up the mess. The purpose of this side's forces is very likely to be the Red Stone. Instead of doing it at another time, I chose today, which happened to be the time when the Scarlet Stone was discovered. Lance immediately thought that the other party's purpose was the same as that of other pirates. In theory, of course it makes sense, but Lance always felt that there was a little sense of incongruity, but he couldn't say what it was. As for the truth, Lance couldn't think of it at all. He didn't even think about it because it was too incredible. With more than 100 New World pirates, what force can eat it all in one go? 4 emperors can't do it, so can't Marine. Therefore, he could not have imagined that the purpose of the masterminds behind the scenes was to suppress them from the very beginning. Thinking of this, Lance's eyes flashed, and he said solemnly, let's not mess up, don't conflict with other forces first, save our strength and physical strength. As for the Red Stone, we just need to get the rubbings, let's go. Talk to the Unicorn Man. At this moment, before Iceberg's breach, it was full of pirates. The major pirate groups belonged to different forces. Because of the appearance of the bird cage in the sky, they all suspected that the other party did it, and they were very hostile to each other. Iceberg Cave where the Red Stone was buried was already occupied by unicorns. After all, they were the closest and they were the fastest. At this moment, in the cave, in front of the frozen Red Stone, a young girl with a height of 1.5 meters stood pretty. The girl looks very immature, very young, and is a relatively rare female pirate. She was wearing an aqua blue coat, and under the wide cuffs, she stretched out a small hand and stroked the Red Stone. It's beautiful he. The outer ice layer is the same as the ice elsewhere on the island, apparently by the same person. Girl laughed and said, I just don't know why Iceberg has a crack, and the Red Stone is hidden in such a place. Forget it. Let me think about it first, how to melt the ice and seal it like this, it is impossible to see it at all. The text and map on it are not clear. Quote. In fact, it's useless to see clearly, she doesn't know, ancient script. Just as he was thinking, there was a sound of fighting from the outside, and the roar was incessant. The little girl frowned and said angrily, what's going on? It bothered me to think. Hearing this, a subordinate ran over and shouted, Little Vice Captain, the captain and the reckless man of the Storm Pirates got into a fight. Don't call me the Little Vice Captain, this is the 99th time. Once again, I will turn you into a big bear. The little girl said angrily, why did my brother fight with the captain of the Storm Pirates? I just let he stop the group of pirates outside. Yes, Little Vice Captain. The subordinate shook his head and said helplessly, a birdcage suddenly appeared in the sky, trapping us all. The captain of the storm thought that we did it and wanted to swallow the Red Stone, so just started fighting. Pause, he muttered again. Sure enough, if we want to take it alone, we should open the bird cage in the sky earlier. Keep everyone out. This is normal human thinking. Of course, this is not to say that they do not want to go all alone. The little girl hummed, he's not stupid, he wants to put a hat on our unicorns, and then join forces with other forces to force us to share the Red Stone. Why give them something they found in our territory? Of course it belongs to us. Rubbings will not be given to them. Quote. It is necessary, the subordinate responded quickly. It's just, what should I do now? I asked Big Bear to help my brother. The girl stretched out her hand and asked, where's Big Bear? Here, here. Another subordinate ran over with a smile and handed out a stuffed bear toy in his hand. The girl stretched out her hand, and immediately, the teddy bear began to swell. In an instant, the teddy bear turned into a height of 6 meters, stood upright, and let out a roar. This big bear was wearing a small vest with the word, "Fire," on it. At this moment, the word "fire" flashed, and immediately, the whole body began to ignite flames. It roared like that, and walked out of the cave. Several subordinates watched the big bear leave with envy, and muttered in their hearts. This is a teddy bear with a bounty, and the bounty is high. Marine is also quite peculiar. Big bear. Unicorn pirates. Pet. Bounty, 500 million. The reason why it is so high is only because it is a killing toy, with endless physical strength, and it is so powerful that it cannot kill it. Even if it is pierced by a sword and the bear's head is cut off, it will not die and will continue to fight. Thinking of this, several of the subordinates looked at the little girl with a certain sense of heart. Who is the strongest in the unicorn pirates? Of course the captain. But to say, which one has the most bizarre ability, it is this little girl who is harmless to humans and animals. Nini Polan, Vice Captain, Toy Fruit Ability. Okay, there's a big bear to help, there's no problem for the time being. Nini laughed and said, now, let's find a way to melt the ice outside first, it's not easy. Not to mention the big riot in the direction of iceberg. The birdcage has been completely completed, covering the center of the entire Cake Island. In addition to the bird cage, there are also lucky pirates who were not trapped. At this moment, a pirate group is staying away from the bird cage, and even they are aware that something is wrong. At this moment, he is madly running for his life, preparing to escape from the Cake Island where the chaos is about to occur. Fur. Suddenly, there was laughter from the front. The captain of this pirate group paused, stopped immediately, stretched out his hand to stop his subordinates, and looked on guard. At a glance, he couldn't help but his face changed slightly. Your Majesty Shichibukai Doflamingo. Then thinking of the bird cage, his expression froze. So you did it, I'll just say, why is this ability so familiar? Line fruit. What? The captain is not in a hurry. He is afraid of the unknown. He is not afraid of Shichibukai. Seeing this, Doflamingo chuckled softly. They are the Custer Pirates, Captain Custer, with a bounty of 380 million. The title is One-Man Battleship, and those with cannon and fruit ability. Hearing this, Chin-Yong stepped lightly and walked towards this person slowly. As long as he is capable, it will do. Seeing him coming, Custer couldn't help frowning, and listening to the conversation between the two, it seemed that this person's status was still higher than Doflamingo. Who are you? What's the point of knowing who I am? Of course it makes sense, at least to have your name on the death list. A fierce light flashed in Custer's eyes, his right hand stretched forward, and with a click, it turned into a cannon. Die, incendiary. Boom. With a bang, a flaming cannonball suddenly hit Chin-Yong. In the face of the attack, Chin-Yang's pace remained the same, but a pair of divine feathers suddenly flashed behind him. With a wave of his wings, he directly slapped the incoming cannon elsewhere. Wings. Custer looked dull. Are you a bird fruit person? Sky Island people don't have wings as big as you. You still know the existence of Sky Island. Interesting. Chin-Yong raised his eyebrows and said calmly, I'm the cadre of the Dream Pirates, the ruler of the sky, the Archangel. As soon as the voice fell, Chin-Yang's figure disappeared. Custer's pupils shrank, and he was shocked to find that he had lost the trace of the other party. Dream Fantasy. Chapter 0189-Hunter 2. The first update. I sobered up for a long time today. The update is late, sorry. Close black lens bracket. Dream Fantasy. Custer's pupils shrank suddenly. Of course, he has heard of the dreamy name. This mysterious pirate group has started to stir up trouble in the world since it appeared, and even the world government has no way to deal with them. Shadow Demon assassinated a Tenryubito. It had been half a year, and nothing happened to the dream, which shows how rampant these murderers are. There have even been rumors recently that Tenryubito did not dare to leave the Holy Land at all, for fear of encountering crazy pirates like Dream. Just thinking about it, a figure suddenly flashed in front of him. Qin Yang, who is still dozens of meters away, has now appeared in front of him. A fist shrouded in white light suddenly hit him. Wait, we Custer pirates, let alone have a grudge against you, it's the first time we've even met. Custer said hurriedly, but Qin Yang was not interested in bullshitting him. He punched him without leaving his hand. Seeing this, Custer bit the bullet and raised his right hand, trying to push away the opponent's attack, and at the same time his body shifted in an attempt to dodge. However, the punch that contained the holy light was faster than imagined, and his evasion speed was simply incomparable to it. Boom! With a muffled sound, Custer's expression changed drastically. He could clearly hear that his right wrist was fractured in an instant, and even armament hockey couldn't fully resist the opponent's brute force. Immediately, there was a scream, and the fist landed on Custer's face, and with a bang, he was sent dozens of meters away. Captain! When a group of pirates saw this, they immediately looked shocked, and then they glared at Qin Yang, pulled out their weapons, and swarmed up. Fur, don't make trouble. Doflamingo chuckled twice, and moved his right hand finger VV. Suddenly, dozens of invisible silk threads descended from the sky like a meteor shower, entangling these furious pirates at once. These silk threads, inserted into the body of the pirates, control their movements. Move can't move. Doflamingo. You bastard, I can't spare you. The group of pirates glared at each other, but they were shocked to find that they started killing each other uncontrollably. Don't blame me, you can only blame your bad luck. Doflamingo grinned lowly. Let me do it, you can at least die completely, Furofura. Here, Doflamingo easily contained a group of pirates, while Qin Yang walked towards Custer, who was knocked away. It's very capable, you were hit hard on the chin, and you didn't pass out all at once. Qin Yang praised that a person's chin and back of the head are relatively fragile. No matter how they exercise, they are weak points compared to other parts. With the punch just now, Qin Yang wanted to stun the opponent, but this person unexpectedly took it down. Stop looking down on people. Custer's eyes were cold, he stood up suddenly, raised his hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. Although it looks like there is no trauma, in fact, even standing at the moment, he is dizzy and will fall at any time. Dream, I have no grievances or enmity with you, why do you have to live with me? He shouted angrily. You open a bird cage and trap most of the pirates. I don't know what you want to do, but I can pretend that I didn't see it. I just want to leave this place now. Hearing this, Qin Yang was unmoved, he didn't even bother to say a word, he just walked slowly and brought a strong pressure to the other party. Damn it, you forced me. This invisible contempt completely angered Custer. Immediately, he roared, and the whole person transformed into a cannon. A three-claw gripping device at the back, which was deeply inserted into the ground, and in front of it was a long barrel with a black muzzle aimed at Qin Yang. The next moment, a roar came out. High explosive bombs. Boom. A cannonball was activated and landed at Qin Yang's feet at an extremely fast speed. Immediately afterwards, a burst of white light flashed, and the explosion devoured everything within a radius of 100 meters. With a loud bang, accompanied by the high-temperature flame, a thick black smoke rose up. Ha ha ha, well deserved. This is a high-powered cannonball that can smash a building into pieces in an instant. The temperature of the explosion has even reached tens of thousands of degrees. Not only that, but after the explosion, poisonous gas will also be produced. Custer was also involved in U-bow, but he turned into a gun mount, and there was a certain distance, so it was not a big problem, instead he laughed out loud. However, this laughter can only last for a few seconds. After a few seconds, his tone froze, and then it turned into a panic. No, impossible. He was horrified. Amidst the burning flames, a figure slowly walked out from the center of the explosion. A hazy white light shrouded the man's body, isolating all temperature and poisonous gas. The pair of holy wings on the back flapped a few times, setting off a hurricane, directly extinguishing the flames, and the poisonous gas generated by the explosion was blown to nowhere. "You monster!" Custer was terrified. At such a close distance, he couldn't injure the opponent at all. In a panic, he turned back into a human form, turned around and started to run away. "Go to sleep," Qin Yang whispered. The wings on his back suddenly opened, and the feathers of the gods radiated holy light. The next moment, two of the feathers turned into flying blades of holy light and bounced out. Whoosh! The two flying feathers flew over a distance of dozens of meters, directly piercing the back of Custer's head and vest. Custer froze all over, and rolled on the ground in a circle, and finally failed to get up. "Is it dead?" Doflamingo came over and asked. "No, I just put his brain to sleep." Qin Yang glanced at him, but saw that the rest of the pirates had all died in cannibalism, and immediately said, "Use your threading ability to tie it up and continue searching. Next target. Don't kill them immediately, and then catch enough people later, and kill them all at once." Doflamingo gave a weird laugh. "Fur, it's a great way to save time. This way, you don't have to wait for a new devil fruit to be born every time you kill one." Thinking of this, Doflamingo moved his finger, and suddenly, countless threads flew out, tying Custer into a zongzi. "Come on, open the cage." Qin Yang nodded and walked first. The two walked one after another, and there was another capable person tied into a zongzi behind them. This weird combination came to the birdcage, and the birdcage opened a passage, allowing the two to enter. The hunt for the capable ones has just begun. Qin Yang needs 8 fruits to upgrade to 3 stars, and in addition to the 3 he already has, there are still 5 missing. At least 5 ability users are required, but considering the uncertainty of devil fruit parasitism, at least 10 ability users need to be caught. This is the bottom line, of course, the more the better. Chapter 0190_Angels Come 1. Second update, the new year is finally over. You can safely code words O, hollow square O. Qin Yang's goal is to catch more than 10 capable people, and the bird cage will only last for an hour, and then it will gradually close up. It will take half a day at most, that is, 6 or 7 hours, and it will disappear completely. In such a short time, the action must be accelerated. Use your observation hotkey to find your next target. While walking, Qin Yang ordered. "Observation hotkey." Doflamingo nodded, closing his eyes slowly. He stretched his hearing to the limit, and suddenly, a force of hotkey extended outwards. Taking him as the center, it spreads rapidly, 100 meters in an instant, then 1,000 meters, 1,500 meters, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. The world suddenly became quiet, only the sound of turbulent footsteps kept coming. In perception, Doflamingo heard all kinds of sounds. "I found it." After a while, he opened his eyes and said, "At 11 o'clock, about 2,000 meters, there is a pirate group, at 3 o'clock, 900 meters, and there is also one, about 3,000 meters ahead, and one more. 3 pirates, ranging from 50 to 500. Quote. What about the capable ones? I don't know this, unless I meet face to face and identify who it is. It's just observation hotkey, I can't be sure." Doflamingo shook his head. "How? It's really useless." Qin Yang thought regretfully that the observation hotkey can only cover a radius of 3 or 4 kilometers, and it is impossible to identify who it is. In contrast, it is not like the female Emperor Boya Hancock, the girl's observation hotkey. I am afraid it can cover more than half of Maiden Island at once. Comparing the two, of course, it does not mean that the Empress is one level stronger than Doflamingo, but that the two are different in their abilities. Doflamingo pays more attention to the development of fruit abilities, while the Empress focuses on the cultivation of hotkey. In that case, let's split up. Qin Yang thought about it and said, I will deal with the one on the right, you will deal with the one on the left, and meet at Iceberg in an hour. No problem. Doflamingo nodded, and the two immediately split up. I saw Qin Yang's wings tremble, and immediately turned into a stream of light, flying close to the ground, and instantly disappeared into the street. As expected of the master of the sky, the speed is too fast. Watching Qin Yang go away, Doflamingo couldn't help but think, the sea dragon controls the ocean current, and the archangel is good at high-speed flying, and each has its own characteristics. It is really not easy to join their organization. He hasn't extinguished the thought of joining, and the dream is constantly collecting fruits, and he has already guessed what it will be used for. If the guess is true, then joining this group of murderers is a sure thing. Even, he can give up the Shichibukai title for this. Do things first, as long as cooperation continues, there will be opportunities sooner or later. His eyes flashed, and Doflamingo also acted. At 3 o'clock, 800 meters away. A group of pirates quickly ran through the frozen streets, heading towards the center of the island. The number of people in this pirate group is as many as 400 or 500, and the head is wearing a high hat, one arm, and the sleeve of the left hand is empty. At this moment, the man ran and scolded at the same time. Hurry up, the other major forces are already fighting. If you don't hurry up, the Scarlet Stone will be taken away. Captain, it's not good to rush over like this. Why don't you slow down and wait for them to fight to the death, picking up bargains? It's cheap. How can you find it cheap? The one-armed captain snorted coldly. Among all the pirate groups on the island, we can only be regarded as the middle and lower level. Compared with those big pirates and big forces, we are not at all worth mentioning. Even if they fight to the death, as long as 1 or 2 cadres remain, they can stop us. Quote. Then it's more troublesome for us to go so early. You can fish in muddy waters. The one-armed captain grinned Isho and said, although I don't know who made the cage and trapped us all, but I have to thank him. The scene is chaotic, so I can wait opportunity, and my ability can steal the real Scarlet Stone without knowing it. Just as he finished speaking, suddenly, a playful voice came from the top of a cake-shaped tower in front of him. Are you the capable one? The sound came from hundreds of meters away, but it seemed to ring in my ears. Who? The expressions of all the pirates changed slightly, they all stopped and looked around cautiously. This way. The voice sounded again. This time, the one-armed captain became conscious and immediately looked at the tower ahead. The tower was frozen, and at the top of the frozen tower, a figure sat cross-legged. Wait for you 3 minutes. Qin Yang said again, it's really slow. Hearing this, the one-armed captain's expression froze, and his voice was so clear from such a long distance. He stared at him, but he couldn't see the appearance of the other person. The whole body of that person seemed to shine like holy light, and it looked extremely holy. Suddenly, the holy light flashed, and the next moment, the other party disappeared on the top of the tower out of thin air, and was stunned for 5 seconds before the one-armed captain's pupils shrank, and he quickly stepped back. He hurriedly looked at the position ahead, only to see that the man a few hundred meters away suddenly appeared here and stopped him in the direction of going. You, who are you? The one-armed captain swallowed, shocked. What a monster speed. Is it a teleportation type of fruit ability? I ask you, are you a capable person? Qin Yang looked at the other party calmly, and there was a lot of pressure in his eyes. No. The one-armed captain replied subconsciously, but after speaking, he couldn't help being a little annoyed that he was actually intimidated by the other party's momentum. He is a pirate with a bounty of 300 million. Although he is not a big man in the New World, he is not just a passerby. Who the hell are you? Brother, I don't know you. You may have identified the wrong person. He gritted his teeth and said half softly. You are also worthy of calling me brother. Qin Yang snorted softly and approached again, this time, directly in front of the one-armed captain. Ask you again, are you capable? Otherwise, die. Me. The one-armed captain looked horrified, and after a while, he had no choice but to say, I am the one who is capable, the captain of the one-armed pirates, the replacement fruit. However, before his words were finished, Qin Yang suddenly started. As soon as he pointed it out, he pressed the opponent's forehead. Above this finger, the holy light shines, as if to illuminate the whole world. The pirate captain subconsciously wanted to dodge, but this instruction made him unable to resist, and he seemed to want to take the initiative to embrace the holy light. Boom! He was shocked, and the whole person fell into a sluggishness. Very well, there are two capable ones here. Qinyang nodded with satisfaction, then turned his hands. Shengguang condensed a rope and tied the one-armed captain. After doing this, he turned around and left, ignoring the dumbfounded pirates at all. After more than 10 seconds, the group of talents suddenly returned to their senses and looked at each other in horror. You bastard, what are you doing to our captain? Someone shouted boldly. Their captain, a pirate with a bounty of 170 million, was subdued without even responding. In response, Qinyang didn't respond at all, just walked away and disappeared at the end of the street. Next target. A dream came, which made all the pirates shudder. This guy is hunting the capable ones. A cadre suddenly realized something. No wonder this person was asking from beginning to end, are you a capable person? Don't answer, die. Yes, they were arrested. No, maybe he will be killed by accident, and only if he is lucky can he be spared. This lunatic. The cadre was furious after being frightened. The captain must be rescued. Chapter 0191-Angels Come 2. One-armed pirates. The bounty is 170 million, not 300 million. When I wrote it, there were children making trouble next to it, so I wrote it wrong. O, hollow square O. The action of the hunters, tilde soon caused a disturbance. In order to seize the time, Qinyang swept away all the way towards the center of the island. Whenever he encountered a pirate, he would ask questions. According to the other party's answer, he would choose to catch it or not catch it. Under the shroud of his holy light, ordinary people couldn't lie. However, still in line with the principle of never letting go of the wrong one, Qinyang caught 12 pirates along the way, including 8 captains and 4 cadres. An hour later, in the center of the island, in front of the huge iceberg, the 5 major forces, no, to be precise, there are only the 4 major forces, and the flying sky pirates did not appear. These 4 major forces were in a fierce battle, attacking each other. In order to buy time for the vice captain Nini Poland, the unicorn pirates basically defended the entrance by themselves, but fortunately there were a lot of them, otherwise they would not be able to withstand the onslaught of the 3 major forces. The storm pirates were the most active. Under the leadership of the captain, they launched an all-out war with the unicorns, causing countless casualties on both sides. As for the lance pirates, they had no intention of joining the battle at first. They did not have any pirates under their command. There were only 13 people in the group, but the storm and the unicorn were fighting. Obviously, they were also pulled into the water, so as not to give people the chance afterward. Picked up cheap. This is a 3-party melee. As for the 4th party force, the alliance of a group of pirates, the casualties are the most. They do not have a leader themselves, but they were forcibly united by Charlotte Bry by means of deception. Their purpose is more to prevent the red stone from being taken away. The fake Charlotte Limlin promised them benefits at the beginning. They can barely be counted as the Big Mom pirate group, and naturally they want to protect their own things. It is a pity that this alliance has enough people, but its strength is uneven, and it is not used by the other 3 forces, so the casualties are the heaviest, and it has reached a situation of collapse. On the periphery of the battlefield, on a large ice stone platform, Qinyang dragged the 12 captured pirates and came here. Doflamingo arrived 1 step ahead of him, and when he saw Qinyang coming, he couldn't help but say, "Why so many?" He looked behind Qinyang in astonishment. 12 pirates were foolishly bound by the ropes of the holy light. The horrid pirates, captain, with a bounty of 350 million, those with the ability to spin fruit. Horrid pirates, cadre, with a bounty of 210 million, incompetent. Armed pirates, captain, with a bounty of 170 million, rumored to be a fruit replacement. The Grain Brothers pirates, the captain, the deputy captain, and the two brothers offered a bounty of 300 million. The elder brother is the one who has the ability to twist the fruit, and the younger brother is incompetent. 12 people I saw at a glance. There were actually 7 capable people, and none of them were weak. Except for the captain of the one-armed pirates. This person's fruit ability was not a combat type, and the fighting technique was also very common. Over 100 million, that's because there are too many evil things done. How's the harvest? Seeing Doflamingo for a while, Chin Yong asked first, you only arrested 4 people. Degree. At the feet of Doflamingo, in addition to Custer, who was tied into a dumpling, there were 4 more people. They, all capable people. Doflamingo shook his head, I'm not like you, it took a lot of effort to catch 4, including your 7, and the Custer you caught at the beginning. There are 12 devil fruit powers. Although there are a lot of devil fruit abilities, there is no way to catch 12 at one time, and the possibility of them appearing at the same time is not high. This time, it was completely attracted by false information. In fact, the number of capable people on the island is even more, at least there are dozens. Okay, let's do it. Chin Yong nodded and ordered. Hearing this, Doflamingo moved his finger, and immediately, 17 invisible threads shot out, shooting at the 17 prisoners. These threads penetrate through each other's skin pores and destroy each other's organs from the inside. After a while, the 17 people died together. At the same time, above the sky, a box descended and landed smoothly on the platform. There are already 3 fruits in the box, and at this moment, 6 of them are slowly changing. On its surface, a spiral pattern appeared silently. 12 capable people, 6 fruits are parasitized, half probability. Doflamingo said in surprise. No, if there is such a high probability, someone would have discovered it long ago. It seems that you are very lucky. I have always had good luck. Chin Yong chuckled, no one who can make it this far is unlucky. In this regard, Doflamingo quite agrees that being able to become a strong person is itself a manifestation of luck. Next, what should I do? He asked curiously, his eyes flickering at the same time. Obviously there was speculation in his heart. Of course, break my seal. Chin Yang's eyes narrowed, and suddenly, a dazzling holy light radiated from his body. The whole person has nothing to hide at this moment, and directly declares its existence to everyone. The light is so holy that people can't open their eyes. Doflamingo, who is the closest, has a shocking feeling of listening to the voice of God. The holy light is healing him, restoring his physical strength, removing the diseases in his body, and making him seem to be a few years younger all at once. Not only him, but all the pirates who were fighting stopped at this moment and looked in the direction of the platform. Bathed in holy light, the tyranny in their hearts was fading, and a repentant expression slowly crept onto their faces. Boom! Suddenly, the holy light turned into a beam of light, suddenly breaking through the sky, as if to break a hole in the sky. This scene immediately shocked many pirates. Miracle of the holy light. The miracle 8 days ago. The cloud of holy light covering half the world. Countless people murmured in horror. I saw the huge pillar of holy light that was enough to link the sky, and the figure of an angel gradually emerged. The angel had 6 wings on his back, and his white wings spread out. He was the source of brilliance, the Lord of holy light. It's an angel, a real angel, the mythical. It must be the tyranny and death here that angered the angels in the heavens, and the angels want to impose divine punishment. It seems that there are believers, but at this moment, the words of the believers have caused many pirates to be shaken. Under the holy light, all evils retreat. The pirates regained their senses, and even at this moment, repented their past in their hearts. Soon, a believer knelt down, and then a group of people knelt down. Holy angel, please forgive my fault. My life is a life of slaughter, it is full of evil, it is. Some people are praying devoutly, some are watching from the sidelines, some are thinking of something, and so on. On the other hand, Qin Yang slowly opened his eyes, as if the gods were condemning the sinners. Wait, the sin is unforgivable. Chapter 0193_kneel down. Open black lens bracket second update close black lens bracket. Holy light spear. Above Qin Yang's head, the huge power of holy light condensed into a long spear. The silver-white spearhead, depicting mysterious runes, suddenly shot out at this moment, directly hitting the most densely populated area. This shot was aggressive, carrying a condensed holy light, and suddenly fell into the crowd. The pirates were deprived of light and plunged into darkness, unable to see death approaching at all. Only some people who master observation hockey can perceive the danger, and they are also fleeing quickly when they are frightened. Boom! The spear plunged straight into the ground, and the next moment, it exploded. The gust of wind and waves that were set off instantly blew a group of pirates at close range into the sky, and after the explosion, holy light radiated outward. Above the entire earth, a pure white sun rose, engulfing the vast area in front of iceberg. Just one blow, how powerful! On the ice platform, Doflamingo was dumbfounded. He raised his hand to block the aftermath, and his heart shook. It's no wonder that this guy wants to collect devil fruits. Just unlocking the seal, he has this level of power, and he has the combat power of the 4 emperors. I have to go far or I'll get caught up. Thinking of this, Doflamingo jumped lightly, walked in the air, quickly retreated, and pulled a distance of several hundred meters before stopping. After a long time, the white light that filled the world dissipated. The scene exposed below made the pirates who survived the disaster look horrified. I saw the area in front of iceberg, where the pirates were most densely populated. Under the explosion of the holy light spear, nearly 2,000 or 3,000 New World pirates turned into ashes. Those people were directly evaporated by the holy light, and not even a piece of clothing was left. And where those people were standing, a huge pothole existed impressively. Hiss. Someone took a deep breath and lost his voice. I didn't see it wrong. Is this an illusion? He is invisible to the naked eye and can only be sensed with observation hockey. In the perception, in an instant, more than 2,000 auras disappeared. Among these disappearing pirates, there are many masters with over 100 million, and even capable ones. Near the foot of Iceberg Mountain, the faces of the 13 members of the Lance Pirates changed dramatically. It's him, said Barber, who was carrying the giant hammer, in shock. I remembered, it's the one I met 2 days ago. The one I met in the icy forest. Without light, he would not be able to see Qin Yang's appearance, but at this moment, the familiar power of holy light finally reminded him of that mysterious powerhouse. Suddenly, the world lit up and the light returned. These surviving pirates found that they could see the world again. But before they could be happy, they were shocked by what they saw. A mighty force abruptly pulled out a huge pit in the earth. The depth of the Tianqing is enough to bury countless giants. Huh. Above the sky, Qin Yang let out a skepticism. He found that the pirates had regained their light, and after a little thought, he reacted. Wait. It turns out that maintaining the deprivation of light requires a huge amount of holy light power. I fired a holy light spear, so I was overloaded. The divine language is indeed powerful. As long as it is shrouded in holy light, it follows the law, but maintaining it will consume a lot of the power of holy light. He used the ability through the cloud of holy light in the sky, but the cloud of holy light was overloaded, so he took the initiative to release it. It looks huge, but in fact it doesn't have much holy light power at all. It's not as good as my own body. Qin Yang rolled his eyes, quite missing the cloud of holy light that enveloped half the world when the archangel first appeared. That is the form an archangel should have. Of course, Qin Yang also knew that it was the result of the beliefs accumulated by countless believers in the world over countless years. At that time, Qin Yang became an archangel, and he just borrowed this power, and also absorbed 1/10,000th by the way. But now that it has dissipated, if you want to gain that huge power again, you need an opportunity. Let's suppress the pirates in front of us first. Thinking so, Qin Yang flapped his wings and slowly descended from the sky. The whole person is light and airy, as if there is no weight and is not bound by gravity. Pat. With his feet on the ground gently, Qin Yang put away the 3 pairs of wings behind him, raised his eyes to look at the remaining pirates, and killed at least a quarter of the pirates with the previous blow. At this moment, seeing Qin Yang fall, the pirates nearby screamed as if they had seen a ghost, turned around and ran away. But there are also people with anger and stunned eyes. "You bloody bastard, killed my crew." The man roared, drew his weapon, and slammed towards Qin Yang. He doesn't care what kind of angel, divine punishment, he just knows that the entire pirate group under his command was wiped out by the person in front of him. These crew members, he convened one by one. Although there were not many people, he spent countless efforts. At this moment, he died and his pirate group was completely buried. He became alone and now wants to do. There is only one, and that is revenge. That person is the Phoenix Pirates, Captain Phoenix, the big pirate with a bounty of 500 million. Some people exclaimed, but the next scene suddenly made people feel chills. "Kneel down." Qin Yang looked at each other calmly and whispered in his mouth. Boom. Suddenly, a huge power of holy light, like rain, fell from the sky, covering the heads of all the pirates. It was as if the body suddenly had a mountain on its back, and the whole person's knees softened, and he couldn't help but kneel down. Phoenix couldn't get close at all. He couldn't bear the enormous pressure when he was 10 meters away from Qin Yang. Boom. He seemed to be flattened by an invisible big palm, and fell directly to the ground, unable to move. What? Phoenix widened his eyes with a look of disbelief on his face. He couldn't believe that he couldn't even stand in front of the other party. Da da da. Footsteps came. Qin Yang walked, and the closer he got to Phoenix, the more pressure Phoenix was under. Not to mention attack and revenge, he couldn't even move. He could only raise his head and look at the approaching figure. 290 you this monster. He gritted his teeth, his eyes spitting fire. What's there to be angry about? Qin Yang glanced at him and said, which of your hands has never been stained with blood? Do you think the pirates are playing a family? This is a new world. Among the pirates, there are many adventurers, who rarely kill people, let alone loot, but such people are very few, less than 1 in 10,000. It can be said that no one is innocent. Besides, what if it's innocent? Who are you? Phoenix gritted his teeth so hard that his gums bleed. And when they heard this, more people raised a lot of people, and everyone was very concerned. Who is this person and what is the purpose? Even if they can't beat them, they will remember their enemies from now on. He. Qin Yang patted the white clothes on his body and said softly, I am one of the 3 cadres of the dream, the ruler of the sky, the archangel, ordered by the captain, Emperor Qin, to suppress you here. As soon as these words came out, all the pirates suddenly changed color. Immediately, someone turned and ran away without any hesitation. What kind of red stone? You have to have a life to get it. Recently, the prestige of the dream is enough to scare off most of the pirate groups. Even the 3 major forces. The Storm Pirates, the Unicorn Pirates, and the Lance Pirates, the captains and cadres of these 3 pirates were all terrified at the moment. Dream. Kadark shuddered, others might not know it, but he knew something. He and Emperor Bai know each other. Chapter 0194 The mere ants dare to shout. The third update, the quality of yesterday and today's chapters is estimated to be declining. Please forgive me, the coding environment is too bad these days. Oh, hollow square, oh. Dream. Kadarki's body trembled. He was acquainted with Emperor Bai, and Emperor Bai wanted to pull him into the alliance at first, but he didn't like it. The relationship between the two is not friendly, but not hostile either. Some time ago, the god who subverted the alliance of the 4 emperors was killed by a dream cadre. After that, the White Emperor found him and wanted to join forces with him to take revenge. However, at that time, Dalki did not agree, and he had no feud with Mengwan, so he could not provoke a strong enemy. It didn't take long for it to come that the White Emperor, the Sword Emperor, and the captain of the Flame Pirates were destroyed by the dream, and the bodies were handed over to Marine for a reward. This news was passed on by Marine. A powerful alliance force was wiped out by Dream just like that. When he learned that it had disappeared, K-Doc was shocked for a long time. However, today, he also encountered such a scene. Looking at the white-clothed, six-winged archangel in the distance, K-Doc felt a palpitating heart. If I remember correctly, the one who killed God at the beginning was just an ordinary Kadri Night King. And listening to this guy's meaning, he is the master of the sky, just like that sea dragon. Thinking of this, K-Dalki couldn't help but retreat. 4 emperors. In the past, after the dreamy sea dragon showed strength that surpassed that of ordinary Kadris, many forces had guessed. In the mysterious organization of Dream, there are also strong and weak Kadris. Like Halong, the dominant level Kadris who are known as the masters of the ocean are obviously senior Kadris. The appearance of the archangel who dominates the sky in front of him confirms this speculation. However, Kadark was not happy at all, cold sweat dripped on his forehead, and he had a premonition of impending disaster. Wait, Master of the Sky, our storm pirates, we have no grudges against your dreams, your captain, Chin Di, why did you want you to suppress us? He suppressed the shaking in his heart and couldn't help asking loudly. Fur. At this time, in the air not far away, Doflamingo's laughter came. Don't you understand yet? After the collapse of the Big Mom pirates, you guys fear that the world will not be in chaos, there will be riots everywhere, and some countries have even perished. Marine can't accept this situation, and can only spend a lot of money, please Dream to suppress you. Doflamingo laughed, sarcastically. Your Majesty Shichibukai. Seeing him, K-Dalki frowned, then looked at Chinyang angrily, you actually teamed up with Marine. Joining forces. Watch your words. Chinyang spoke calmly, then flicked his fingers, and a holy light hit Doflamingo, and you talk too much. This holy light was like a bullet, hitting Doflamingo's chest with a bang, knocking him straight from the sky. Cough, is there no difference between the enemy and me? Doflamingo clutched his chest with a painful expression on his face. Just now, the holy light healed the wound in my body, and now I'm hurt again. In fact, he can still dodge, but he doesn't dare to dodge. If he angers the other party, it will not be a holy light, but a holy light spear. It's no use talking too much. Chinyang ignored him and spread out his 6 wings behind him. Immediately, the feathers of the gods radiated white brilliance. You guys, let's perish. Such contempt immediately angered the storm pirates. A Kadri who looked like an orc said gruffly, Captain, this guy is really courting death. It's too arrogant. Let me kill him. Don't be impulsive, Pollock. Another Kadri looked solemn. This guy is a leader-level Kadri, equivalent to the strength of the 4 emperors. What are you afraid of? He's just one person, so many of us are still afraid of him. Pollock opened his fangs and glanced at Chinyang with cold eyes. Besides, Marine asked them to suppress us. In addition, there are already warships deployed. If you don't do it, you will be besieged instead. Hearing this, the rest of the people couldn't help being stunned. They didn't expect that this reckless number 2 was so wise. K-Dalki's eyes flickered, and he nodded after a moment. It makes sense. Since that's the case, let's do it. However, just as he finished speaking, Chinyang suddenly issued. The 3 pairs of wings on the back fluttered slowly, and every time they fluttered, the feathers on them shone a bit. Does the number make sense? Chinyang gently issued, 6 wings spread out, light feather. This was the move of the feathers of the gods. Following Chinyang's words, these holy feathers radiated white light, turned into pieces and scattered around Chinyang, and then suddenly shot in all directions. Every piece of flying feathers is a deadly blade, swept outwards with Chinyang as the center. Wherever they passed, no grass grew, but all pirates were beheaded by the feathers of light. From a distance, it looks like a stream of holy streamers, dragging long tail flames, starting from where Chinyang is, and spreading outwards in a spiral mentality. The pirates who were so close didn't even understand what happened, and they were pierced by the light feathers in their chests. It's not war at all, it's harvesting and slaughtering. In an instant, more than 100 pirates were swept away, leaving a corpse on the ground. The feather of light has just begun, and the speed is getting faster and faster, and the scope of the spread is getting bigger and bigger. Run! Some people looked extremely frightened, and had completely lost their fighting spirit. In the face of such power, numbers are meaningless. Originally, these pirates were not under the command of the Storm Pirates, but only on Cake Island. Due to the situation, they had to join one side of the force. Now it has become this kind of slaughtered situation. Don't run and wait to die. If you can't escape, can you escape from the speed of light? Chin Yong looked at the pirates fleeing in all directions, shook his head and whispered. However, at this moment, the space set off a storm. A raging wind wall suddenly completely blocked the 100-meter area around Chin Yong. After the feather of light entered the wind wall, its trajectory was disrupted, and the two forces were at a stalemate, and they were blocked in this way. Stormwind walls. In the distance, Kay Dalkey opened his right hand, facing each other in the distance, and said coldly, "Hey, Angel, don't get carried away, I have the power of the storm fruit. There is nothing that can pass through my storm." During the speech, he flicked his left hand, and suddenly, a tornado was set off and swept towards Chin Yong at a rapid speed. At the same time, Pollock roared wildly, his hair turned bloody, and his body swelled from a height of 3 meters to 10 meters. His eyes were bloodshot, full of murderous intent. Zone awaken. Roar. Pollock let out a beast roar and directly activated the awakening state. Recovery ability, fighting ability, stamina, strength, speed, explosive power and so on, everything is increasing exponentially. Not only him, but the rest of the officers and fighters of the Storm Pirates also took action without any hesitation. What are you waiting for? At this moment, Kadark turned to the Unicorn Pirates and shouted, "Don't do it yet. Don't order me, only Nini can order me." Andy Poland snorted coldly and stepped out. Suddenly, the human appearance changed. His skin turned black, his mouth grew fangs, and his body suddenly turned into a height of nearly 50 meters. Wake up. Zone, ancient species, black-haired giant ape form. Similar to Zone's mythical, this is also one of the extremely rare fruit abilities. Seeing this, Chin Yong couldn't help laughing. As expected of the 3 pirate groups in the Chaos Sea, they suddenly saw a Logia and 2 ancient species. Logia, the fruit of the storm. Zone, ancient species, orc form. Zone, ancient species, giant ape form. These rare abilities appear one after another here. What else is interesting? Chin Yong crossed his chest with his arms and flapped his 6 wings behind his back. He said slowly, "What about the one with the blood and blood fruit ability? Don't hide it, let's go together." Not far away, the Lance pirates peeped at each other. Captain Lance took a deep breath and said loudly, "It seems that there is no way to reconcile the contradictions. I can only take action, Unicorn, Storm, I have no intention of joining forces with you." He waved his hand suddenly, "Paramesha, awaken. Sea of blood." Gollum. The earth rolled, the rocks and soil were wriggling, and then turned into blood red. The whole earth, as if at this moment, has become an ocean of blood. In this ocean, a blood-colored giant slowly stood up, and at the foot of the giant, more blood-colored soldiers were being born. These are the people I killed. They turned into blood warriors, and they are forever hidden in the sea of blood. Today, let them play against you. Lance said in a deep voice. Archangel, you are by no means our opponent, it is too late to retreat now. To be honest, he really didn't want to fight, the other party was just a dreamy dominant cadre, and there was a deputy captain on it, the captain. What if he was defeated and killed, and Emperor Qin killed him to take revenge? Hearing this, Chin Yong was shy and said, "A mere ants, how dare you shout? Let's go together." Chapter 0195-1 Enemy. First update, it's late again, I'm so sorry, I thought no one would come to my house for New Year's greetings, but there are still hollow square this should be the last one. Iceberg Mountain, the Logia Storm Fruit Ability, the Zone Ancient Species of Orc Form, the Zone Ancient Species of Black-Haired Giant Ape Form, the Paramesha Blood and Blood Fruit Ability, the three forces suddenly joined forces to attack Qin. For a while, the wind was raging, the blood-red earth was boiling, blood cannons continued to overflow, and thousands of blood warriors walked out of the sea of blood. On top of it, a blood-colored giant with a height of 40 to 50 meters, shouldering against the sky-high axe, first slashed towards Qin. In the face of the enemy's joint attack, Qin was instead Isho, and said freely, "A mere ants, you dare to shout. Let's go together." He was not at all timid, the 6 wings on his back incited, and he flew into the air immediately. At this moment, he was trapped by the Stormwind city wall around him. At the same time, the outside blood giant stepped forward, and even split the Stormwind city wall with an axe and fell straight towards Qin. Roar! The blood giant let out a loud roar, overflowing with rage. "Were you a giant warrior in your lifetime?" Qin raised his eyebrows, his 6 wings trembled, and an astonishing speed suddenly erupted. The whole person seemed to be a white streamer. In an instant, he avoided the big axe, turned sharply in midair, and suddenly got close to the blood giant. "It's too slow. With this kind of attack, you still want to hit me and have your dream." With a light snort, Qin raised his right hand and turned his palm into a fist. The holy light 350 wrapped around it, like a small sun, slammed into the blood giant's face. Holy light fist. Boom. He punched it, like a heavy object, the helmet of the blood giant. Under this blow, it collapsed and shattered in an instant, its face was even more sunken, and the huge body was hit off the ground, straight back. Fall down. Seeing this, the pirates nearby were stunned, seeing the blood giant falling towards them, and hurriedly wanted to escape. Monster. No hockey just now, just brute force. Just relying on brute force to knock a 45-meter-tall giant into the air, how strong is that punch? This group of pirates has lost all their will to fight. The battlefield of this big monster is not something that ordinary pirates like them can step into. At this moment, I want to escape, but there is a sea of blood under my feet, and I can't move quickly at all. This sea of blood is very viscous. Standing on it, it will slowly sink, and it is not easy to keep yourself from being swallowed. It is very difficult to move quickly. Damn it. A group of pirates were stunned, and the huge body of the blood giant fell, pressing them down. Boom. A sea of blood was set off, dozens of pirates were engulfed, and then dozens of new blood warriors were born. Not far away, Lance's expression was solemn. "What a fast speed, it's faster than the last time I saw it." It's nothing to beat a giant with one punch, he can do it, but the speed is beyond common sense. It's almost the same as Marine Admiral Kizaru. No, Kizaru just moves fast, he bursts fast in an instant, the two are different, in comparison, this one is more difficult. He thought to himself, frowning at the same time, feeling very troublesome. Kizaru is fast. That is the fluidization of the glitter fruit. It can move at the speed of light, but before moving, the body needs a preparation time. But Qin is different. He doesn't need this preparation at all. As long as his thoughts move, the speed will explode instantly. In this situation, wanting to hit the opponent is tantamount to fooling around. No matter how fast your attack is, it cannot be faster than the explosive speed of others. I'll check his speed. At this moment, the red-haired orc roared, he ran on the ground, and quickly attacked Qin. Of the storm pirates, Pollock, Zone's ancient orc form, and the bounty is as high as 687 million. At this moment, while running, one step is a distance of tens of meters, and in just a few seconds, he has already arrived in front of Qin. His height became 10 meters, and after getting close, a punch slammed from top to bottom and slammed down. Eat my punch. With a loud roar, Pollock's eyes became more and more bloodshot. Red light flashed in his eyes, and armament hockey was like a real thing on the punch. "I'll help you." Suddenly, a voice came. Then, a pitch-black giant orangutan jumped up. His body of 30 to 50 meters jumped to a height of hundreds of meters, spanning a distance of 1,000 meters, and stepped directly towards Qin Yang's position. "Come." 2 attacks fell one after another, blocking Qin Yang's dodging position. Seeing this, Qin Yang let out a low laugh and couldn't help but sneer. Just like the appearance, a beast-level attack. He floated in the air, looking at the opponent and woo-woo, letting the 2 attacks fall. The next moment, boom! A punch passed through and landed on the sea of blood, and the sea of blood suddenly exploded, setting off huge waves. Then a chimpanzee fell, and a big pit was smashed. Just the shock wave that was set off shattered the body of the endless blood warrior. "I didn't feel like I was hit." Pollock's expression changed slightly, and he felt a crisis approaching. His observation hockey unfolded and finally caught a breath. This breath is on top of his head. "You bastard." Pollock was furious. His eyes looked up, but he couldn't see Qin Yang clearly. "The wisdom of the beast, you can't limit my speed." Qin Yang stood lightly on top of the orc's head, and suddenly jumped, avoiding the punch of the black-haired giant ape Andy Poland, and at the same time kicked the orc's head with a kick. "Go away." As soon as the voice fell, this kick kicked out a holy light. This holy light was like a whip, and it slapped Pollock suddenly, and with a bang, it slammed the man into the air. Whoosh! That burly body turned into a cannonball, flying over a distance of 100 meters, rolling and crawling, tumbling over the sea of blood. "It's so dangerous, I almost hit me." Doflamingo dodged, avoiding Pollock who was rolling over, and laughed in a low voice. Fur, it's a paradise for monsters. No wonder Dream only sent the Archangel to suppress him. He is enough alone. Even in a group of monsters, he can handle it with ease." While he was talking, Qin Yang kicked Pollock, and at the same time, he punched back to meet the black-haired giant ape. The punch of this giant ape directly shook the air, as if it would shatter the space. "Don't be too arrogant," Andy shouted angrily, and a phantom of the fist suddenly appeared above this punch. Before the fist arrives, the fist wind arrives first. Qin Yang laughed Isho, and said, "Small worm carving trick." Holy light fist. 2 fists, one big and one small, collided in an instant, and the next moment, they exploded. A holy light spread out and lit up the sky in an instant. CC. Suddenly, lightning flashes in the air. The 2 fists collided, hockey confronted, and even struck a thunderbolt. However, this stalemate did not last long. In the next instant, the holy light in Qin Yang's fist turned into a shock and devoured the black-haired giant ape in an instant. Impossible. Andy's eyes widened, and the whole person was blown away and swallowed by the holy light. "I can even take a punch from Kaido. How can you knock me out?" He had fought with Kaido, and also with Whitebeard. Although they both lost miserably, they didn't die. With the physique of his awakened ancient species, he could even resist Kaido's punch without retreating. However, at this moment, he was punched by the Archangel. Hearing this, Qin Yang looked calm and said coldly, "You don't know anything about Shengguang. What about Kaido? He's here, I can type it right." Chapter 0196 _ The Power of Divine Language. Boom! The holy light devoured the black-haired giant ape, and with one blow, Andy Poland, the captain of the Unicorn Pirates, was smashed into the air. Affected by the holy light, his body was covered with scars, and his dark hair and skin were soaked with his own blood. However, as soon as he fell, he stood up again, and the wounds all over his body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Humph! It's useless. He exhaled 2 hot breaths from his nostrils, and said angrily, "I am an awakened ancient species, and my recovery ability is 10 times that of a normal zone." In one sentence, he recovered 7 to 7 or 8. Several wounds burned by the holy light no longer bleed. Seeing this, Qin Yang's face was as usual, but he couldn't help but slander, it's really troublesome. They are all awakened capable people. They can't kill them all at once. Andy Poland has admiral level combat power, and even the 4 emperors can't kill the opponent in one go. One-on-one, it's easy to handle. As long as you keep pressing the ground and hitting hard, you will always be killed. It's a pity that now he has a single enemy and has to deal with multiple attacks, so he has no chance to pursue and fight. Of course, Qin Yang didn't think he would lose. It was almost impossible. The question was, how to suppress this group of people. If you don't want to find a better way, you can fight like this for a few days and nights, endlessly. In contrast, Lance's blood and blood fruit and Kadarki's storm fruit are relatively easy to deal with. The problem is these 2 ancient species. One was kicked by him, and the other ate his holy light fist, only to be slightly injured, so he could take a breath and jump alive again. At this moment, Lance, who had been standing in the distance, suddenly spoke up and said, "Archangel, I admit that your speed is very fast, but your physical strength is limited after all. Even if it is exhausted, you will be exhausted first." He seemed to see what Qin Yang was thinking, and said loudly, "It's better to take a step back here. You can stop here, we won't pursue the people you killed earlier." "What a joke," Kadalki snorted coldly. "You don't have a pirate group to belong to, but I have suffered heavy losses." "Idiot." Lance scolded secretly. He was indeed a reckless man. The opponent obviously did not use all his strength, but was only tentatively attacking and defending. Do you really think the 4 emperors are joking? However, at this moment, a golden light flashed across the horizon, and the next moment, like a falling star, suddenly, this beam of light descended on the center of the battlefield. Boom! The aftermath of the big explosion immediately involved many unlucky pirates. Smoke and dust filled the air, and one of the figures was walking out slowly. It's scary, there are so many famous pirates gathered on such a small island. Hands in his pockets, his mouth was crooked, his eyes swept all over the place, and he whispered, "Captain of the Unicorn Pirates, Andy Poland, Captain of the Storm Pirates, Kadark, Lance Pirates Captain, Lance E.H. With 6 wings on your back, you are a dreamy archangel." Suddenly, he fixed his eyes on Qin Yang. Cut. Qin Yang flew in midair, hugged Shang with both hands, and said, "What are you doing here, crooked monkey?" Crooked monkey. Many pirates opened their mouths in admiration. Those who dared to call Marine Admiral like that would have dreamed of these murderers, although Kizaru's mouth was indeed crooked. Kizaru's eyes twitched and he forcibly held back. "You don't need to ask knowingly, you're doing it here, we Marine will of course do it." "Shoot, come on the lights." Kizaru Quan didn't hear this kind of trash talk. Qin Yang shook his head. "What about the other 2? What can you do here alone? A single admiral can at most contain one of the 3 pirate groups, which is useful, but not enough to change the situation. You must know that in addition to the 3 captains, there are many cadres in the 3 big pirate groups, and these cadres are not weak." Kizaru didn't show any anger at Qin Yang's underestimation, but said calmly, "If you can deal with it alone, then you can do it. If you can't, you can also summon the rest of your dream cadres. You have long-distance summons ability, isn't it?" He. Qin Yang chuckled for a while. "Forget it, I'm tired of playing too. Since you don't know anything about the Holy Light, let you see what kind of power the Holy Light of Angels is." As he spoke, his body exuded a sacred radiance, his whole body became hazy, 3 pairs of wings flapped, and he flew high into the sky. The higher the flight, the brighter the light emitted by Qin Yang. The power of holy light around him was extremely thick, as if he had turned into a cloud of holy light. The next moment, an unknowable divine language came, and then, in this large cloud of holy light, a gap opened, and a beam of light was projected downward. The beam of light is not cylindrical, but spreads out, enveloping the huge battlefield in the entire iceberg area. What does he want to do? Lance was awe-inspiring, with a bad feeling. Get ready, he's going to make a serious shot. If afraid that his subordinates would disagree, he said solemnly, don't forget, what did Sea Dragon do? As the master of the ocean, Sea Dragon can use his own strength to snipe the marine fleet. At that time, Marine's overall strength was not at all comparable. We are weak now. Hearing this, more than a dozen members of the Lance Pirates showed solemn expressions. The same as the ruler-level cadre, the Archangel will not be weaker than the Sea Dragon, or even stronger. After all, the ocean has limitations, but the sky does not. At this moment, Qin Yang had already flown to an altitude of thousands of meters. He looked down at the earth, like a master, and looked coldly at the many pirates below. Suddenly, he stretched out his right palm, spread his 5 fingers wide, and pressed it down far away, while reading the divine words in his mouth. God said the world will be filled with eternal darkness. As soon as the voice fell, in the area covered by the cloud of holy light, the light disappeared, and darkness filled the world. This is the endless darkness, the real darkness, not depriving others of their vision before. At this moment, no matter who it is, pirates, admiral, or Doflamingo who has been watching the show, everyone who is within the range of the holy light will all fall into eternal darkness. This darkness will not disappear easily and will last for 7 days and 7 nights. Marine fleet that is rushing here, at this moment, can see from a distance, the Cake Island in the far distance, and eternal darkness, shrouded in the sky. What is that? Suru Vice Admiral murmured in shock, that black as if it could wipe out any light. Really shocked was not her, but Kizaru on Cake Island. He was completely sluggish, because he was a glittering fruit power user, and at this moment, the power disappeared. In the eternal darkness, his light cannot be radiated. Once he leaves his body, he will be forcibly erased by an inexplicable force. No, to be precise, it's not that the ability has disappeared, his fluid still exists, but that he can't control the natural elements. How is this possible? Kizaru was shocked, and suddenly regretted coming to the island first. It can even change the rules. Above the sky, in the birthplace of darkness, Qin Yang's second divine language sounded. God said, under the light of the holy light, the heaven and the earth turn upside down. Boom. Suddenly, the earth shook and the sky sank, as if the rules of the world had been rewritten. The earth is rising and the sky is sinking. Between the sky and the earth, the pirates in this space cannot see any light, but they can perceive it. The outside world is changing. It was as if there was a hand of God, grabbing this space, and then forcibly twisting it 180 degrees, making it the heaven and the earth were reversed, and the gravity was abnormal. Ah! Exclamation! Countless pirates were absorbed by the gravity from the sky. The same goes for Lance, his observation hockey, who can barely see what's going on. Just because he knew, the shock couldn't be added. As this, God, he murmured. Chapter 0197 suppressed many pirates. The third update, please remember to send a screenshot of the subscription. Don't just come in and grab a red envelope or something, if you don't have a few dollars. Hollow square. Close black lens bracket. As this, God. Lance muttered softly. This ability to forcibly rewrite the rules of nature is truly astounding. Although not seen with his own eyes, observation hockey's perception is more precise than the naked eye. The earth is cracking, pieces of gravel are floating into the sky, gravity has been reversed, and his body is also pulled by the gravity above his head at this moment. What has been rewritten is not just gravity, but the sky and the earth have been reversed. The center of Cake Island, the iceberg, was pulled up all at this moment and flew into the sky. Iceberg, Nini Poland was unstable and hit the ice above her head. What's going on? She murmured in surprise. Gravity changed. No, the whole iceberg is moving. As soon as she finished speaking, the light disappeared, replaced by darkness. Even if you hide in iceberg, you can't escape the eternal darkness, but the result is the same no matter where you are in the area shrouded in the cloud of holy light. Red stone. Nini Poland exclaimed. She didn't care about the disappearance of the light, but reached out to touch the red stone, but the stone was moving away from her. To be precise, iceberg was collapsing as a whole, and even the cave was no longer safe. Not to mention the internal situation, the outside world, the riots are even bigger. "Captain, what should we do?" Barber said in a panic. "This kind of monster is not something that several pirate groups can fight together." He firmly grasped a stone under his feet and flew to the sky with it. "Get ready to evacuate." Lance took a deep breath, used observation hockey to identify his 12 crew members, and said, "A single Archangel is already very difficult to deal with, and there is still Marine." "The Scarlet Stone," one said hesitantly. "It's fake." Lance's eyes flashed, and he said, "From the beginning, this is a game that Marine and Dream teamed up to suppress us all. If it's true, Marine is probably the first. Take it with your hands." Marine's attitude towards the historical text is quite severe, much more cruel than dealing with pirates. 10 years ago, Marine did not hesitate to destroy the archaeological holy site, O'Hara, in order to prevent the world from reading the ancient texts in the historical text. And the red history text, the seriousness, is above this. If it is true, Marine would rather let go of all the pirates on the island and get the red stone. "Damn it, we've all been put together." A Lance pirate cadre beat the ground angrily, full of resentment. "No, this news came from that intelligence organization," another person thought of something. "It goes without saying that the intelligence organization is also a group." Barber was furious. "I will destroy them all when I go back." "Okay, don't talk nonsense first, we're going to withdraw while it's too messy now." 9. Lance spoke in a deep voice, his eyes widened. Shen slammed his palm on the ground, blood shadow escape. "See." As the voice fell, the ground under his feet turned into a thick bloody water. This bloody water seemed to have consciousness, and it started from the shoes and slowly swallowed Lance's whole body. Not only him, but the same thing happened to the other 12. The bodies of these people sank under the ground and disappeared quickly. And as they disappeared, the ground returned to its original appearance. "Huh." Above the sky, Chin Yong let out a suspicious voice. "The Lance pirates have disappeared as expected of a big pirate, their escape skills are really top-notch." He considered whether to chase him or not. No matter how fast the other party ran, he couldn't run faster than him. However, after thinking about it, I still gave up, and when I thought about it, a holy light shot out. This holy light ignored the darkness and hit Kizaru directly. This blow is not for killing, but for pushing. Kizaru's whole body was instantly knocked away by the holy light, and in a blink of an eye, he had escaped from the eternal dark world. Could see everything, Kizaru realized that he had been knocked out of the central area of the island. "Where is this?" His expression changed slightly, and he looked at a huge dark ball in front of him. This black ball is extremely huge, covering a radius of tens of thousands of meters. It turns out that the Archangel has created an area similar to an enchantment. In this area, he is basically a god. Kizaru thought to himself, "No wonder I can't even use my glitter fruit." Just as he was thinking, there was a sudden wave of fluctuations on the ground in the distance. Under the ground, bright red blood spilled out. These blood are like fountains, gushing out high, and 13 figures are revealed in them, which are the Lance pirates. Admiral Kizaru. As soon as Lance escaped, and before he could breathe a sigh of relief, he suddenly saw Kizaru's existence. Damn, he found out. Only Kizaru. Barber snorted coldly, "Captain, he's not that angel monster, we can fight him off before we leave." "It can only be like this." Lance took a deep breath, turned his hands, and a blood squirmed in his palm. "It's a real headache, and I've been underestimated too." Kizaru crooked his mouth. "I was just here to observe the Archangel's combat power, and to prepare for the fight against the Dream Pirates. Since you are here, as Marine Admiral, I can't just sit back and ignore it." As soon as the voice fell, his body turned into a stream of light and disappeared. The next moment, behind Lance, the photons condensed, and a long leg that shone with golden light suddenly kicked away. Light speed kick. Not to mention the battle here, inside the huge dark ball. Countless rubble fluttered and gathered above the sky, condensing little by little. The pirates who were first adsorbed to the sky didn't have time to escape, so they were buried by more gravel and clods. After that, an iceberg pressed down and directly suppressed countless pirates. It was a literal repression, and it was buried by countless rubble and iceberg. Above the sky, a new land is formed. No, it is more appropriate to call it a floating sky island. The only people who can escape are those who are proficient in observation hockey and who are powerful. Proficient in observation hockey can see the changes around them in the eternal darkness. Only those who are strong can resist the flip of gravity and avoid the countless stones under their feet. It can be said that in just 5 minutes, 7 or 8,000 pirates, at least 9 out of 10, were suppressed inside the floating sky island and buried alive. Dream. Kadarki's face was full of anger and resentment. I'm the storm pirates. He was the one who suffered the most. The unicorn had a large number of people in iceberg, so he escaped the catastrophe 2.5, but his storm pirates, even the Kadri level, were suppressed. I'm going to kill you. Kadalki couldn't bear it any longer. He roared, and his whole body turned into a hurricane, attacking Chinyang above the floating island. Hurricane Vortex. With Chinyang as the center, a hurricane hit, trapping him in a spiral posture. Not only that, the hurricane was extremely sharp and slowly gathered, as if it was about to grind Chinyang into pieces. A fool. Chinyang's face was calm, his eyes flashed, and the holy light suddenly made a big splash. God said, there is no wind and no waves in the world. In an instant, the wind is calm. What? When the hurricane stopped, Kadarki's body was exposed, and he was shocked to find that he could not control the wind element. Chinyang's 6 wings spread out on his back, and his tone was sacred. In the realm of holy light, the divine language can dominate everything. It's better to save it. Chapter 0198-Great Pirate Golden Lion. First update. Regarding the book review saying that Shirahoshi was only pursued by Vanderdecken after 2 years. I know this, and I moved it ahead of time for the plot, and there are several places in the text that are like this. Including Robin, who will appear later. She entered the Great Route. 5 years later, she was in West Blue before. Please don't pay too much attention to such small details. 2333. Kadok couldn't believe it. A word from the Archangel made the hurricane vortex he set off disappear, and even he couldn't control the wind element again. He also experienced the same scene that happened to Kizaru before. Fruit ability is sealed. No, to be precise, it's not a seal, it's just that he can't control the natural elements. His fluid still exists, but he can't make waves. What kind of ability is this? Kadark faced Chinyang. His eyes widened. Although he couldn't see it, he knew that the guy was in that direction. I've never heard of this devil fruit that can erase the power of others. 15 abilities of devil fruit are all kinds of strange. Maybe Zone mythical angel fruit really exists, but there is absolutely no fruit that can erase the abilities of others. Ignorance. Who told you that I am a capable person? Chinyang looked at each other lightly. Others fell into darkness, but he didn't. For him, the world was still broad daylight. Looking at the great pirate Kadalki at this moment, there is a bit of sympathy in his eyes. People in this world, when they see supernatural power, immediately suspect the devil fruit. When Akainu saw the sea dragon for the first time, it was the same. Although the sea dragon is in the sea, it is reasonable to say that it cannot be a capable person. A reaction, but still cannot escape this vicious circle. Hearing this, Kadalki's heart was shaken, and then he remembered that the dreamers are all mysterious and strange people, and I have never heard of any member who has a certain fruit ability. Troublesome. Thinking of this, Kadok felt extremely troublesome. To be rational, it was more correct to escape, but most of his pirate group was destroyed. How could he just escape like this? Archangel. Just then, a furious roar came. A black-haired giant ape suddenly flew towards Chinyang. His eyes were filled with resentment, and he was in a state of berserk. Roar. A roar suddenly raised a harsh sound wave. This sonic attack has an extremely wide range, and Qin Yang can't help frowning, feeling that the blood in his body is not smooth. Roar of the giant ape. The roar was loud and clear, and the killing intent was not concealed, and it was completely directed at Qin Yang. Affected by this roar, Qin Yang felt his body sluggish for a moment. Just like when ordinary people suddenly experience a loud noise in their ears, their body will be stiff for a moment, and Qin Yang is not exempt. And at this moment, Andy Poland punched. Ape King Fist. This fist is imposing, and one fist seems to cover the entire airborne. Fighting technique is good. Refined hockey is not bad. Qin Yang came back to his senses, and the 6 wings on his back retracted forward, blocking the blow immediately. Boom! This berserk punch hit the 6 wings, and suddenly there was a muffled sound that shook the sky. Qin Yang was blown away by a blow, but the next moment, his 6 wings opened again, and he stabilized his body directly in the air, without retreating 10 meters away at all. What? Andy Poland was taken aback. How is this possible? Without hockey's defense, the wings slammed me into a punch, and nothing happened. That's just 3 pairs of wings. With one punch, he was confident that he could shatter a small mountain, but he could only repel the opponent by 10 meters. He, Qin Yang chuckled. Have you ever experienced the speed of sonic flight in your flesh? Just flying, the pressure you endure is a little stronger than your punch. As soon as the voice fell, his silhouette turned into a stream of light, which instantly crossed a distance of more than 10 meters and appeared in front of the giant ape's belly. The giant ape is 30 to 50 meters tall, and with such a huge body, as a target, it is too late to dodge. Mock shock. Boom. Qin Yang exploded the speed of sound, and the inertia and impact force he carried were concentrated in one punch, which suddenly bombarded the abdomen of the giant ape. With a loud bang, the giant ape's stiff skin was comparable to steel, and even hockey's defenses were all collapsed under this blow. PFF'd. Andy spit out the acid water in his stomach, and his huge body fell to the ground. No, in the space where gravity flips, the earth is the sky. The floating sky island not far away, Dalki's expression changed greatly, and his heart was horrified. What speed is this? My top observation hockey has no time to capture his trajectory. Explosive power is too terrifying, and even the power of listening cannot be captured. The speed exceeds the speed of sound propagation, and naturally this is the result. Qin Yang let out a breath and looked at the black-haired giant ape from a distance. The opponent fell to the ground, and then under the pull of gravity, he quickly crashed into the floating sky island. A 3-star Archangel is 5 times faster than a 2-star, and can reach supersonic speed, but this speed can only burst out instantaneously and cannot last for too long. As far as the current Archangel is concerned, it can only last for a second or two at a time, after which it has to slow down. With this speed, I can suppress these people. Qin Yang's eyes flashed, and he suddenly had an idea in his heart. But at this moment, a loud laughter came. The laughter came from the sky, outside the bird cage. Jia ha 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 ha, very lively battle, marine, pirate, fantasy, people with different goals, redstone. Above the dark ball, above the bird cage, in a cloud layer, a huge spaceship slowly emerged. In an instant, several observation hockeys stretched over there. Big Pirate Golden 173 Lion. Dalki's expression changed slightly. Qin Yang also stared sideways. Unlike other people who need observation hockey, he only needs the naked eye to see clearly. On the huge spaceship, a man with lion-like golden hair stood with his arms in his arms. His feet were amputated, and in their place were 2 swords. With a rudder stuck on top of his head, he grinned at the moment, looking at the big black ball below. Mysterious power. He touched his chin and grinned. This black ball has changed the gravity of the inner space, and even light cannot penetrate. Golden Lion watched intently. No one knew what he was thinking. Qin Yang's expression was calm, and he was not surprised by the appearance of the Golden Lion. Originally, the flying sky pirates came to Cake Island, and it is reasonable to appear now. Why don't you hide in the sky and hide in the sky? Come here to find death, Golden Lion. Qin turned his hands, and immediately, the power of the holy light condensed a silver-white Longchang. Afterwards, this holy light suddenly shot out from the dark ball, instantly spanning a distance of hundreds of meters, and hitting the big pirate Golden Lion on the bow of the spaceship. Jia ha 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 dream. Where did you guys come from? Golden Lion laughed. 10 years ago, I had never heard of your powerful characters. Whoosh. The holy light exploded, and the holy light devoured the entire flying ship. Chapter 0199 You thought you were redhead. Boom. The blow of the holy light spear exploded before hitting the airship. The powerful holy light shone, and instantly dyed the sky into a vast expanse of white. This incomparably huge ship turned into ashes within a few seconds under this blow. Jia ha 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 very strong. A master as strong as you can't be anonymous. Where did he come from? Above the holy light of the explosion, the Golden Lion flew into the sky, looking at the huge black ball below. Golden Lion Shiki, the legendary big pirate, the captain of the Flying Sky Pirates, the world's recognized 5 major flying ability. Example, Marco's mythical phoenix form belongs to the category of bird fruit of the 5 major flight systems. Golden Lion also belongs to those with flying ability. No development is required, as long as you eat the fruit, you can naturally master the flying ability. This person used to be as famous as Whitebeard Edward Newgate, One Piece King of Pirates Gul D. Roger and others. He was a famous figure before the era of the great pirates. That year, Roger was arrested after completing the conquest of the Great Route. The Golden Lion couldn't believe it. He broke into the Marine headquarters alone, fought with Garp Vice Admiral and Sengoku Admiral, and destroyed half of the Marine headquarters. He was arrested and imprisoned in the deep sea, the 6th floor of the prison. In the next 2 years, the man cut himself off, got rid of Seastone's shackles, caused chaos in the big prison, and escaped. For the next 10 years, he has disappeared. Until recently, when the Big Mom Sea area was in chaos, he suddenly appeared, raised his arms, and recruited troops. Many New World pirates were attached to the Flying Sky Pirates. Thinking back to this person's past in his mind, Qin admired him, but couldn't help but ridicule. A loser who lost to Roger and was eliminated by the new era, still wants to stir up trouble in the world. Don't attract people. Laugh, be smart and hide in a corner of the world and tremble, so that you can spend the rest of your life in peace. Quote. Hearing this, Golden Lion's face darkened and he laughed angrily. For how many years, no arrogant person has dared to be presumptuous in front of me. You are so courageous. These words come from the heart. Generally, when pirates hear the fame of Golden Lion, no matter how many years have passed, they will subconsciously show a bit of timidity. After all, they are all people who grew up listening to his legend. But Qin is different. He is not afraid of this in terms of strength. His understanding of the Golden Lion is a line of text in intelligence. Not to mention the Golden Lion, even Roger's resurrection is the same. However, I'm not here to fight with you. After a pause, Golden Lion snorted coldly. You are the master of the sky, one of the 3 dream leaders. You should have the means to contact the captain. I want to see your captain, Emperor Qin. _ 7Q. Qin raised his eyebrows, slightly surprised. He thought that Golden Lion was also here for the red stone. $. As if he had guessed what he was thinking, Golden Lion added, the red stone, that kind of thing is meaningless. If I want to go to Lahoodle, I will personally look for where Roger can go, and I have no reason to find it. No need for road signs at all. Quote. He is expected of a person who is as famous as Roger. His temperament and vision are not on the same level as those. Qin pouted. If Lahoodle could be found so easily, Whitebeard would have arrived long ago. Those, in his mouth naturally refer to the 3 major forces. K-Doc looked gloomy and uncertain, and the Golden Lion suddenly appeared, attracting the attention of the Archangel. It stands to reason that now is a good time to escape. However, pride does not allow him to escape. One of the leaders of the three major forces in the dignified chaotic sea area, it can be said that he is a high-level figure standing in the pirate pyramid. He fled in such a wasteland, what face does he have to continue to mess around? Only one chance. Kill him. With a flickering gleam in his eyes, Kadark quietly pulled out a dagger from his waist. The dagger is short, but the blade is made of rare sea stone, which is a weapon specially prepared for the able. It was originally built to kill Andy Coland one day. After all, the awakened ancient species can hardly be killed, their resilience is too amazing, and protracted warfare is even more disdainful of the heroes, but as long as the opponent's ability is broken, it is much easier to deal with. At this moment, without any hesitation, he immediately launched an attack while the Archangel was attracted by the Golden Lion. Go to hell! Roaring frantically in his heart, Dalki's fluid unfolded, and half of his body turned into a storm, easily dashing behind Qinyang. In the eternal darkness, a sharp blade with a flickering cold light stabbed at Qinyang's vest. This is where the heart is. Even the top powerhouse of the Four Emperors level, if the weak point of the heart is stabbed, it will be seriously injured if he does not die. Seeing that the dagger was about to be stabbed, suddenly, the figure in front disappeared. In an instant, Kadok's observation haki lost Qinyang's breath. The next moment, he was holding the dagger's wrist and was grabbed by a big hand. What? Dalki's face changed slightly, and he felt a strong force coming. You bastard, you are distracted talking to others, and you still have time to guard against sneak attacks. I can divide my heart into 4 directions. Qinyang's expression was calm, his left hand stretched out, covered with armament haki. He grabbed the fluid of Kadark directly, pinched his neck, and held it up high. You really are a reckless man. If you really want to run, I think it's not easy to catch you. Humph. Think this will stop me? Dalki snorted coldly, his eyes narrowed, and a wave of Conqueror haki swept across in an instant. At the same time, armament haki broke out and bounced off Qinyang's restraint. The next moment, the figure flashed and quickly evacuated. This is a pure haki confrontation. Obviously, at the armament level, he is much stronger than Qinyang, who has not learned for a long time. Twice. Qinyang stretched out his right hand, the holy light condensed in his palm, and suddenly, a shock shone in the eternal darkness. Holy judgment. In an instant, in the entire dark space, a holy light penetrated everything. Kadok, who was pulling away, was pierced through his chest without a doubt. Huh! He snorted, and suddenly saw heaven and hell in his mind, the perfect kingdom of God on one side, and the 9 secluded hells on the other. This is not a pure physical attack, but a mental attack. Kadok only felt that the worlds on both sides were calling him, but he instinctively felt that no matter which side he set foot on, what greeted him would be the consequences. He hesitated, and his body froze for a second. And this second is enough for Qinyang to catch up. I won't be able to kill that ancient species for a while, but you just die. Qinyang's right hand turned into a hand knife, the holy light on it flickered, and it suddenly fell towards Kadark. At this moment, the voice of Golden Lion came. Wait, I have a relationship with him, give me face and spare his life. However, before his words were finished, with a puff, the palm of the shining holy light had pierced through Kadarki's abdomen. Wow! Kadark woke up suddenly, hell and heaven disappeared, replaced by a strong pain. Qinyang suddenly pulled out his right hand and looked at the sky from a distance. Face, how much is your face worth? Do you think you're a redhead? Chapter 0200 The Weapon That Destroys the World. The third update. The fluttering fruit can fly, and the person with the ability can fly, and can also control other non-living objects. It is one of the 5 flight-related abilities. Others, such as bird fruit and insect fruit. Who of Marco and Alabasta is considered a branch of bird fruit. Close black lens bracket. Face, how much is your face worth? Do you think you're a redhead? Qinyang calmly swung the knife, and the power of the holy light circulated on it, wiping away all the blood in an instant. Golden Lion wanted his subordinates to keep people. It was impossible, and he was not someone with the ability to save face, so he had no reason to give face. If it is red hair, Chinyang might really have to think about it. After all, he owes the red hair a favor. Seeing this, Golden Lion's face was ugly, and he looked at Dalki, whose abdomen was pierced, with a sullen face, not knowing what he was thinking. Wow! Kadark covered his wound with one hand and his mouth with the other, spit out blood with a wow sound. He fell from the sky, towards the floating sky island. However, even so, he didn't die, but he was seriously injured and his combat power was greatly reduced. Damn it, careless. Dalki's face was pale. In this case, he had no way to continue fighting, and could only choose to escape. Captain. At this moment, Pollock finally broke free from Iceberg on the floating sky island. Seeing that his captain was injured, he quickly approached. Previously, Chinyang used the divine language to change the rules of the world. When the gravity reversed, he was taken care of. After being absorbed to the 180 floating sky island, Iceberg immediately suppressed him. Fortunately, Iceberg shattered, and he finally seized the opportunity to escape. What about the rest of the cadres? Kadark insisted and asked when he saw his top fighter. They're all suppressed under Iceberg. Alex stretched out his hand and grabbed the fallen Kadark. If I don't move Iceberg away, they won't be able to get out. I used the power of the orcs to barely climb out. Ancient species, orc form. In this form, Pollock's combat power will be extremely strengthened, especially his strength, and the improvement is terrifying. It was because of this that he was able to narrowly escape an Iceberg's repression, but the rest of the cadres were not so lucky. After hearing his words, Kadark was furious. Bastard. Ahem, let's go. Yes. Grabbing the captain with one hand, Pollock slowly bent his knees, and then the whole person jumped. Boom. The entire floating sky island was shaken by Vivi, and the next moment, the red-haired orc turned into a cannonball and bounced towards the outside of the dark ball. After fighting for so long, they have somewhat figured out the weirdness of this space. If they want to not be troubled by darkness, they can only escape. Where are you going? Suddenly, the white light in front of him flashed, and Chinyang's figure was already blocked in front of him. Damn, so fast. Pollock's heart was awe-inspiring. It was obvious that the opponent he moved first was 2 or 3 seconds behind before chasing after him, but in just an instant, he ran ahead of him. JBU_. Get out of the way. Pollock roared. The whole person became more and more mad, and even started to lose his sense. His eyes were full of the killing intent of the beast. His right fist was covered with red hair. At this moment, he shot, carrying a huge fist style, and suddenly hit Chinyang. Are there any side effects? Chinyang secretly said in his heart. The form of an orc greatly increases his combat effectiveness, but correspondingly, his reason is also weakened. It seems that the abilities of the ancient species are also dangerous. Thinking like this, Chinyang didn't dodge or evade, and punched him. Holy Light Fist. Boom. The two fists collided, causing ripples in the space. The shock wave spread out and swept away with a bang. At the same time, Pollock squeaked. The finger bones of his right arm were broken, and the whole person flew upside down. Captain, you go first. When forced to retreat, Parikh grabbed Kadok with his left hand and threw it forward suddenly. Whoosh. Dalki turned into a stream of light, and unexpectedly crossed the blocking area of Chinyang. Really loyal, Chinyang shook his head and said, no wonder this punch has no power. It turned out to be sacrificing himself to buy time for the captain. Dalki is a storm fruit person. Once he leaves the range of the dark space, it will be difficult to catch him. Here, the opponent's ability is suppressed, and Chinyang can beat him easily. When he is outside, he can roam the sky for convenience. Who knows where he will go? Angel, your opponent is me. Pollock raised his arm and took a bite. He sucked in his own blood. Suddenly, his eyes were congested, completely mad, and he lost his mind. Seeing this, Qin was stunned. Are you going to try your best? Unfortunately, you are still a little short. If the black-haired giant ape tried his best, Qin wouldn't really be held back, but a mere cadre, whose strength is far inferior to the admiral level, can't stop him. Go away. With a cold snort, Qin kicked out, and suddenly, a holy light turned into a piece of training and slapped away. This holy light is like a whip, and it hits Pollock directly, sending it flying to the floating sky island. In the next moment, Qin figure flashed, and he immediately followed him away. Whoosh! In the dark ball, a figure flew out. Huh! As soon as Qin appeared, he stopped. The sky ahead, Golden Lion grabbed Kadok's neck with one hand and lifted him up high. Tell me, where is that thing, you know? Golden Lion said coldly. Tell me, I can spare you. Cough cough. Kadalki was extremely miserable. Shang was seriously injured in the abdomen, and now he was firmly grasped by armament hockey, and it was very difficult to escape fluidly. Golden Lion, you bastard, Kadark was furious. It was not the first time he met Golden Lion. He knew each other when he was still a storm hero. Of course, at that time, the other party was a world-famous pirate, and he was only the commander of a country's guards, not a level. Looks like you really want to die. Golden Lion said angrily, full of murderous intent. Cough cough, I don't know. Kadark vomited blood. His expression was cold, and he didn't mean to be soft at all. The world government has erased their existence, and no one really knows where they are. Damn. Golden Lion took a deep breath, killing intent. The reason why he came to Cake Island was for Kadark, but the other party didn't have the information he wanted, which can be said to be a waste of time. You want to kill him? Qin fluttered his wings and watched from a distance. You can do whatever you want. Anyway, I just want to suppress the rioting pirates. Of course, including you, Golden Lion. He was not in a hurry, and hugged Shang to watch the play. Hearing this, Golden Lion's killing intent subsided instead, and after a while, he said, in this world, there are super weapons capable of subverting the world government. The person who knows the whereabouts of this thing, Roger is dead, originally thought this guy would know, that's what it turned out to be. Super weapon. Qin raised his eyebrows and said playfully, the three ancient weapons. What? Golden Lion was taken aback. You know. He Sea King Poseidon, Hades Pluto, Heavenly King Uranus. Qin chuckled and said, I know where Sea King is, and the whereabouts of Hades, except that Heavenly King is a fan. It's all clear. Hearing this, Golden Lion's eyes flickered and he said in surprise, I see, no wonder. Dream, don't you join hands with me? With the weapons you provided, plus the pirates and troops I gathered, we will then formulate a plan. We can subvert the world. Rule the world. He became more and more vigorous. In those days, the bastard Roger rejected me, otherwise, there would be no world government now. In this regard, Qin dismissed it. You, half-footed in the coffin, are also qualified to join forces with our dream talk. Go and have your dream.